Welcome to this retro content from Throwback Thursdays, whether it's from NoDQ.com, the Jeff Meacham Network, Casa D18 Studios itself, a Simple Man's brand, or the J. Hebert Studios, and anything to do with FTW Productions. This will be the content re-aired right here on Throwback Thursdays that you could expect to see on the Casa channel. I know watching back some of our old content, whether it's the open mic night intro where I'm laid on my bed, which I kind of cringe at, especially with this cool-ass setup now, or whether it's, just about anything to do with what we have done on FTW Productions, from a Simple Man's brand, from the J. Hebert Studios, to even some Insanity Works and Retro Wrestling Fortune 44 Incorporated stuff. There's some good stuff, there's some cringe stuff, and either way, I hope you guys enjoy that stuff coming up, and, even if you didn't enjoy it, I'll be along with you for the ride. Some of the stuff does not age well, like Jeff's content does. I know he has done a deep dive on his own content and cringed at his own self, but either way, I hope you enjoy it regardless. I know in some of these clips, I have a fondness to them. So with that being said, enjoy this Throwback Thursday, and until next time, we'll see you on the J. Hebert side.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Let's see. Burger or sausage? Burger.
I mean, it's not going to matter when it comes to your diet, huh, buddy? Hey, how's it going, kiddo?
Well, I was wondering when you were going to just raid my freezer and fridge.
Okay, so I was just in the neighborhood and I wanted to say hi. I'm looking for some, parameters that you might be working on, good sir.
Yeah, you done?
Not yet. You're fat.
All right, cut the bullshit, Lars. What do you want?
I'm just looking for some content, because, I'm fucking bored and I'm living in a fridge.
You want content?
Yes, of course I want content instead of the people, you dumbass.
The people want content too? Okay.
No shit.
If I feed you content right now and what's upcoming and what's already on FTW Productions, will you leave me the fuck alone?
Okay, maybe just for today, but probably I'll come back tomorrow.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Coming up this week on FTW Productions, we got AEW Spark and WWE Aftershock. WWE Aftershock, hosted by yours truly. God damn it, I watched a bunch of WWE content. I wanted to kill myself. But also, Noah Foster and Zero covering all the AEW stuff on AEW Spark. So go check that out on Wrestling Fortune 44 Incorporated, along with a bunch of retros for this upcoming week of Wrestling Madness. Because we got Impact Unbreakable 2005. We got Double or Nothing 2019. We got WWE Battleground 2013. And we got Night of Champions 2012. All retros are done and in the can for your enjoyment. 2 of them out now, and 2 of them premiering this week. Speaking of premieres and lives, Noah Foster has got 4, count them 4, premieres coming up this week on a Simple Man's brand.
Simply predicting.
It's WWE NXT Battleground, WWE Night of Champions, AEW Double or Nothing, and Impact Under Siege. All that coming up and so much more. And hey, if you're sick and tired of the wrestling, well, guess what, Lars? I know you like food, so do I, and so does Casey. The fat fucking aficionados, we got you covered because we cover fast food and restaurants on Wrestling with Idiocy, Episode 8 on Insanity Works Incorporated. All that coming up and so much more on FTW Productions.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, my dude.
All right, you fucking happy now?
I mean, I'm semi, erect at the moment.
All right, cool. Get the fuck out of my fridge. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Oh, don't throw the... Wait, well, what about the brownies from 2B? You fat, no-dick-having motherfucker.
I heard that. on Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network. Multiverse of Media proudly presents this retro content from NoDQ.com.
Welcome, NoDQ Galaxy, to another edition of the NoDQ Review. And as you can notice, there's a couple things missing here. Jeff Meacham and my beard. But do not worry, Jeff is under the weather. We almost didn't have Greg because he's under the weather too, but I don't think quite as bad as Jeff. So how's everybody doing? I'm going to start with you, Mr. Cherry, PA Sensation. How is it going?
Not too bad. Woke up with a little bit of congestion. Thankfully, WrestleMania week's over, so I can get some friggin' sleep. But still here, still the two-time champ. I'm sure until we start season 4, and then Aaron's gonna throw the friggin' gauntlet at me. But it's okay. I'm here. I'm a little sick, so if you see me blowing my nose, I got a stack of tissues right here. But I'm here. That's what matters.
Good man, good man. Mr. Rift, how's it going? How's it going on this somber Rusev Day today?
Yes, very somber Rusev Day indeed, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that here in a few minutes. I am doing great. It's been a very busy week with WrestleMania. I know, Virtue, you had a very busy week going all over the place in New Orleans. It's been busy here covering all of the shows and doing all the live videos. It's been a hectic week. Things are slowing down a little bit, but still, it's been a really busy week, and we have more to come. We have the Superstar Shakeup. We have the greatest Royal Rumble. We have Backlash. No shortage of topics today to cover.
That's right. And also joining us, TJS. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
Chat moderator for NoDQ.com. How's it going, man?
It's going well. I'm a little bit worried about Rusev, and like you said, it's a quite somber Rusev Day today. So, other than that, I'm great.
Well, I'm sure as we go down my list, no pun intended right there, we will be talking about that situation. But first, I want to rewind because I was in New Orleans this past weekend, and I went to Access, Ring of Honor, watched NXT on the WWE Network, then, of course, Mania, Raw, and SmackDown. Let's start with NXT. I watched it. I gave it an A, obviously. Probably everybody gave it an A. I thought it was a little bit better than Ring of Honor. The Ring of Honor Supercard show, my problem was being there. It was their biggest attendance, I think, of all time. It was 5.5 hours from pre-show to the end of the last match. It was like WrestleMania long. And to me, that kind of deflated the crowd, as we know how it does for Mania, for a couple of the matches. I did enjoy Kenny Omega and Cody. As always, Cody's a great heel. He's a really good heel. And it's a shame WWE didn't utilize that properly. And, some people, and I won't mention their names, said Cody failed in WWE with multiple gimmicks. He's one of those guys I think WWE failed him. Also, of course, there was a ladder match at Ring of Honor with the Young Bucks, and I believe they had Flip Gordon. I really like that guy. I could see him in NXT one day, versus SoCal Uncensored. Very, very good match. Probably the best one on the card. Let's flip to NXT. They had a ladder match. And then they also had Ciampa versus Gargano. Now, I'm interested in all of your thoughts since you watched NXT. What did you like out of those two matches better? And I don't know if anybody caught any of the stuff on YouTube or whatever for Ring of Honor, but if you did, let me know. I'll start with you, TJS. What was the best match, in your opinion, on NXT, and how close was it to the second best match?
Well, I've got to go with, it's going to sound mainstream here, but Gargano versus Ciampa it was incredible from start to finish because I felt like those guys actually hated each other, and the build was just tremendous. You had Gargano going to Ciampa's house. You had Gargano getting fired and trying to get back into the NXT arena. The fans were behind him, and Ciampa is just such a great heel. Coming out to no music was genius. He executed that way better than Dolph Ziggler could ever dream of. And, the crowd was just, they were using so much profanity, and he gets real heat. It's so hard for heels to get actual heat these days. And Ciampa, he's like a heat magnet. It's incredible. I've never seen anyone get booed that bad since maybe like the night after WrestleMania 32 or 33 when Undertaker lost to Roman Reigns. And it just reminded me of John Cena at One Night Stand in 2006. It was insane. And the thing is, Cena was a babyface when he was getting booed. Ciampa's a heel, and he's going against the most over face in NXT in Gargano. And it was just an excellent match. I love the callbacks, towards the end when there was the sitting thing. Gargano gave his friend like one last chance, kind of like in the Cruiserweight Classic when they had the match, and Gargano was beaten senseless, and Ciampa just couldn't finish him. It was just awesome from start to finish. I thought that it being unsanctioned really helped it, but I think it would have been just as good if it wasn't, and it was just like a technical showcase. And for the second match, of course, I'm going to say the ladder match. I thought it was great. There were a lot of awesome spots, the two ladders being broken. Ricochet was a man. And there was even some good storytelling in it with Dane and Sullivan having like a competition to see who could outdo one another. They were throwing Ricochet back and forth. It was just a solid match. And in my opinion, those were the two 5-star matches of the weekend. So, it was awesome.
And speaking of 5, I believe there's 5 matches on NXT. And unlike WrestleMania, where I think I only got 4 or 5 right out of the 14, I did get all 5 predictions right for NXT, which is the first time ever. Everybody knows I barely get half of them right in NXT. So, Greg, what are your thoughts on those 2 matches? Obviously, I want to make those the focal point. And did you catch any Ring of Honor clips?
I did not catch any Ring of Honor clips. It's been a busy week in the Cherry House. But I did get to watch NXT. I only got to see part of it live, and then I had to leave the house for something. And then I came back Sunday before WrestleMania and watched NXT. So I had pretty much a wrestling marathon from 2 o'clock Eastern till midnight. That being said, I love the ladder match, and I love Ciampa and Gargano. The NXT title match also with Aleister Black and Andrade Cien Almas was great. The only match I was a little bit down on, and it wasn't even because it was bad, it was just the finish was booked similarly to Asuka and Bayley, was the women's title match between Shayna Baszler and Ember Moon. That match was still good. And we can't forget the tag match. I mean, I have to mention every match because they were so good. And also, Virtue, I know you're not a Mauro Ranallo guy, but if you've seen that clip that's been circulating around Twitter the last day or so of him really getting into the commentary, I mean, it's why I enjoy Mauro Ranallo's commentary.
I saw it.
The passion that he has, the excitement, and it's not just in his voice. I mean, you saw it. It was like physically, he's standing up. He's like really getting into it. And Mauro Ranallo just adds something special to the NXT brand. So fantastic show. I'm going to have to go with the ladder match over Ciampa and Gargano, though.
Ooh, great, interesting pick there. And referring to Ranallo, I don't hate him. And after I saw how he perceived that spot in the Gargano-Ciampa match, and his whole performance as a commentator, and what we get week in and week out on Raw and SmackDown, I no longer hate the guy. And again, I used to hate John Cena too, and I no longer hate him. See, being a more, from an analytical point of view, you have to look at it from a fan's perspective and from behind the curtains perspective. So, Greg, I do not hate Ranallo any longer, so that's a building process. Just bear with me. It might take me some time. Aaron, what are your thoughts? I personally thought my favorite match of the weekend, and I'm biased because I was there. It's different when you're there. It was Omega and Cody because I got to see Omega live. With that said, all of those matches that I talked about, I gave 5 stars. Virtue Eltzer gave him 5 stars. So it's hard to pick one. What are your thoughts?
It's definitely tough to pick, and I really don't have that much else to add to what has already been said and what I've said on No DQ Live. Tyler, first of all, you did a tremendous job with your analysis of that match. Very well done. You're a regular here. You're a natural. You do great stuff. I appreciate you being on.
Do a Barry Horowitz. Pat yourself on the back.
Yes, definitely.
Right there. There you go.
Greg, you hit it right on the nail, right about Mauro Ranallo. That guy is awesome. I think he's the best announcer in WWE. Anybody who hasn't seen that clip should definitely check that out. As far as I'm concerned, he's the guy right now. And Corey Graves should not have won Announcer of the Year last year. That's just my take on it, and I feel Mauro Ranallo should be winning it this year. As far as which match I go with, I give the slight edge to Gargano and Ciampa, but it's really close for me. They're both excellent matches. Both of them are worthy of being Match of the Year contenders, and this has been a really great year for WWE matches so far because NXT TakeOver Royal Rumble weekend had a really solid match between Gargano and Andrade Cien Almas. So yeah, it's really tough to say, but I would give the slight edge to Gargano and Ciampa.
Now, before I move to WrestleMania, NXT has the perfect formula. Granted, old pay-per-views back in the day started at 8. They would end at like 10:45. They were under 3 hours. Some of them had 6 or 7 matches. Most of them had that many. This is what they need to do. But again, now that we're going to be having both brands doing pay-per-views, I fear they're going to stay long, at least for the main pay-per-views, if not get longer. So kudos to NXT. That's why you get the slight edge over Ring of Honor. And using those grades going to WrestleMania, we're going in the opposite direction. Now, me being there for my first WrestleMania, I can't grade that. It was an experience. It was great. Just the vibe, the electricity, looking at all the setup, the stage, the lights, the interacting with fans. But watching it back, I could see how it was about a C or C show on average. It just, maybe it was the booking. We all thought Roman was going to win, and it's now it's like fans are disappointed for getting that match wrong because we thought for sure that we knew. Craig, I want to start with you. There's a lot of things I want to talk about, like key points from Mania. We could say kudos to the Woken Warriors with Bray and Matt forming that. I'm glad I saw that. Let's just skip the pre-show. We're going to go right to Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie. I was there. Everybody stood up about a minute into the match and stood up the entire time. Greg, how did it come across to you watching it on TV?
I don't remember which video it was that we discussed this match, and people were like, oh, Ronda Rousey doesn't deserve this spot. Ronda Rousey is going to be terrible in the ring. And I believe I was the one who said, let's give her a chance. We don't know what she can do. And holy crap, did she exceed expectations. She was fantastic in this match. I was a little nervous more so that she was working with Stephanie. But Stephanie bumped the crap off for Ronda Rousey. She was fantastic. All 4 of them were great in this match, and the match came across as the best one of the night for WrestleMania. For me personally, I don't know about anybody else's opinion, but I think that match was easily a match of the night. So props to Ronda, Stephanie, Triple H, Kurt Angle, all 4 of them, not disappointing at all. And I did pop a little bit when I saw Stephanie doing the Triple H water entrance. That was pretty cool too.
Good take, and to me, it was the match of the night being there in attendance. Aaron, what do you think?
I totally agree. For me, that was the WrestleMania match, and I think 20, 25, 30 years from now, when we look back at great WrestleMania moments, that one will stand the test of time. That'll be a match that we remember for many years to come. And I think as far as celebrity appearances at WrestleMania go, I think Ronda Rousey had one of the best performances of any celebrity to show up in a WrestleMania match. I mean, name a better one. I really don't know if there is one. She had one of the best celebrity appearances.
Yep. I felt like Piper was watching over her. It's just weird as that sounds. I really did, being there. So any other thoughts on that? I'll pass it to TJS, Aaron. I mean, I thought Ronda was hot.
Yeah, she was. And I think that WrestleMania had some good moments, some not so good moments. For me, it was a very mixed bag, average show when you put it all together. I did like the opening match, the Intercontinental title triple threat with Seth Rollins winning the title. I thought that was a really strong opening match. Maybe not as great as Brett versus Owen. I wouldn't go that far, but I still think it was really solid as an opening match for WrestleMania. And, of course, Charlotte and Asuka was a good match. Shocking ending, very mixed opinions on that one. Some people love it, some people hate it, but definitely people are talking about it. So, TJS, your thoughts over on WrestleMania, the good points, the bad points?
Well, I agree with you guys completely about the mixed tag team match being the match of the night. I mean, all 4 people in that match looked like $1 million. You had Kurt Angle coming out with a singlet. Finally, he had the singlet, not like the Power Ranger gear or whatever he had before. The pyro, the entrances, everything just felt so special. And it felt like a genuine fight to me because there were hardly, like, I couldn't tell who was legal most of the time because it felt like they were all just brawling and the referee was giving it leadway, which I just thought was awesome. And, you had Triple H face off with Ronda Rousey, and Ronda Rousey even throws better punches than Shane McMahon. It's incredible. I thought it was spectacular from start to finish, and I can't believe how well Ronda is doing. I'll admit, I was doubting it at first. I was worried that she was just, maybe washed up or whatever from UFC, but no, I mean, she is dedicated. You can tell that she trained hard for this match, and you can tell that really all 4 people just busted their ass in it. I thought it was great. And are we talking about all of WrestleMania right now, just the highs and the lows?
Yeah, highs and lows.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, like the lowest point of WrestleMania was probably the Raw Tag Team Championship match for me with Nicholas and Braun. Sure. Was it funny? Yeah. Was it entertaining? Sure. But at the end of the day, you're making the Bar a very successful tag team. They ended the New Day's record, and they've just been dominant on Raw ever since. And you make them lose to Braun Strowman and a 10-year-old kid. It was a joke. Because now, Nicholas is actually holding the record for youngest champion. WWE published an article about the 10 youngest champions in history. Nicholas is number 1. No one's ever going to beat that. No one's ever going to be younger than 10 unless next year they do something even crazier. I just thought it was a joke. And it was even a short match. It was in the death spot. Delete it. Delete it. I didn't like it at all.
Tyler, Braun Strowman's dad was in attendance. I actually bumped into him at a hotel, and he looked just like him, and I talked to him for a couple minutes. Why couldn't they have done that? Even if it was just going to be somebody standing on the apron. You know what I mean?
Anything but that. Yeah, make it the damn referee or something. Come on.
Yeah. I think Greg. I don't know if Greg, you were trying to say something.
Yeah, he did have his hand up.
Yeah, well, Greg, I was thinking you were going to refer to Matt's son, Maxwell, was possibly going to be.
That's actually what I was going for. I was actually thinking, hey, why not have Matt Hardy and King Maxwell become the tag team champions?
There you go.
And then you'll have the youngest champion be like 3 years older, however old he is. It'd be like, unless you put a newborn on top of him, then you probably won't beat it. But I mean. That's what it is, as they say here.
Well, there's still more I want to talk about, and TJS, you'll have another opportunity here. So Jinder Mahal's the U.S. champ. So I guess now, from what we know now, we can see why. All right. So we'll go. I want to bring a couple things up, then we'll go around the horn again. So, of course, Asuka tapped. I guess they wanted to build Charlotte, but here's my problem. They did that only to have Carmella cash in on SmackDown. That was my big problem with that. If you're going to build Charlotte up as the number 1 woman, I think they should have waited on Carmella or did that a different way or made her go to Raw and cash it in. Cena and The Undertaker. So it was a great spot for Elias. We didn't get Jeff Jarrett other than the Hall of Fame walking out for that. And by the way, that pyro that popped, it was right in front of Jeff. I think I saw him jump a little bit. I jumped when they blew those pyros up. And then, of course, Elias had a big spot. The Rock didn't come out, but it still was during this Undertaker-Cena gimmick. I thought it was funny how they played that off where the ref came out and told Cena something and he raced. And I thought we were going to get something big, just like I wrote about. And we ended up getting a squash match. I'm interested. Obviously, people know from my Periscopes, my Twitter, me doing this. I don't even need to explain myself on my thoughts on that. Aaron, I'll start with you. Jinder, Asuka tapping, and the whole Taker Cena segment. Go ahead.
Okay, well, Jinder winning the title is like... Nah, not really happy about that, yeah. But it is what it is.
Who would you rather had? Orton keep it like you predicted?
Rusev. It's Rusev Day. Rusev
knowing now what we know, they would have never have done that out of the other 2 guys. Who would you have had? Because they weren't going to give it to Rusev. They don't like Rusev Day.
If not Rusev, then Orton. I would have had Orton just retain the title. And they're doing Orton versus Mahal at Backlash. That is a piss break match if there ever was one. Did anybody?
It was a last year's Backlash.
I know. Does anybody out there have any interest in seeing that match again? I don't think there's one.
They're going to have to start the show with that match.
Oh my God.
Put it on the kickoff.
Yes, Throw it on the kickoff. Let Randy Orton be on the kickoff.
Okay, we know your stance on gender. We've known it for a long time. What about Asuka tapping and the way they did the Money in the Bank cash in it?
Well, it was very shocking. I wasn't expecting it. I don't know what it means for Asuka. We'll have to wait and see how she is portrayed in the coming weeks after this whole superstar shakeup. As far as Carmella winning, I was fine with it, how it played out on SmackDown. I mean, Charlotte was beaten up pretty badly by the Iconics. I was going to say Iconic Duo, but they're no longer the Iconic Duo. I thought that was well done, but I would have liked what we've talked about before, the idea of Carmella swerving everybody and cashing in on the Raw Women's Champion. I think that would have been a better idea. But it is what it is. Hopefully Asuka is able to overcome this, though. I feel like this could potentially hurt her momentum, and will she be able to be taken as seriously now that she doesn't have the streak behind her? That's the big question. And Undertaker and Cena, I thought it was fine. I think at this stage of the game, Undertaker and Cena probably would not have been able to live up to people's expectations, which is why I think it was okay to just do what they did, do a short squash match. I mean, that's what people wanted to see. People wanted to see Cena get his ass kicked, and that's what happened. So I think it was okay. TJS, your thoughts?
Well, as far as Jinder winning the championship goes, I think it's the traditional foreign guy has the United States championship. He's going to bash the United States, blah, 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 blah. And I just don't know who Rusev pissed off. I don't get it. Virtue, you were there. Was the entire stadium not chanting Rusev Day?
No, they were chanting it. Again, it wasn't an open door stadium, but it's not as impactful as being in a smaller arena. But yes, I mean, there's no doubt. I picked Rusev Day to go over, and WWE just clearly does not want that for the fans.
I just don't get it. I don't understand. I would have rather have anybody but Jinder. I would have taken Orton over Jinder. I don't like Orton either. I think he needs to evolve his character. So about that match, whatever. It just felt like a SmackDown match. And if Rusev wasn't in that match, I think it would have been a piss break match. Now, John Cena versus Undertaker, is that what's next, or is it?
Yeah, and I want to tell you guys, the aura in the stadium was electric because of the way the Undertaker's entrance is. So that part of it was special. Obviously, the 2-minute and 45-second or whatever it was squash was kind of like okay, but so I mean, I'm not saying I was like totally disappointed with it. It played off well as a segment. To me, it wasn't a match.
I think that the John Cena versus Undertaker thing was awesome. If you looked at the story of it, you had John Cena thinking that he could call out the Phenom, the Dead Man, this monster that's been dominating for over 20 years. He's been talking about Undertaker's a broken down old man, this and that, and he said he was going to go to WrestleMania as a fan. Well, he saw the Undertaker's entrance. He wasn't prepared. He was expecting to make like an ass out of Undertaker. Undertaker squashed him, and I thought that was awesome because it caught John Cena off guard. John Cena can take this loss. Undertaker needed the win because if this is his last match, he's going to go out strong on top, and I just think it was great. And as far as Asuka and Charlotte goes, I would have done things a little bit differently. Maybe had the match go, have a long match.
Yep.
35 minutes maybe. Make it great. Not that it wasn't great, it was, but I just feel like Charlotte has nothing to gain from ending this streak. What was the point? Because since Carmella's cashed in, what if Charlotte becomes an afterthought now? Because if Charlotte takes the title off Carmella, then the cash-in would have seemed pointless. So I think that Asuka should have beaten Charlotte, and then I think Carmella should have cashed in on Asuka after this grueling 35-minute match, and you have Carmella end Asuka's undefeated streak and win the women's championship all in one swift motion, and that makes Carmella look great. She gets the rub from ending the streak, and she gets a big WrestleMania moment.
Yeah.
So that's what I would have done.
That would have pissed off the internet pretty damn badly. I think they would have been outraged.
She's a heel.
Yeah,
I'd like to meet this writing crew for WWE and how they proceed to tell Vince McMahon their ideas. Craig, go ahead on these few matches here.
All right. We'll have to. I'm still sick in the head a little bit. Not like that, but
I'm here for you.
tested and stuff. You'll have to give me the lineup again.
Well, okay. I want to know your thoughts on how Asuka lost, and basically using Charlotte to give the title to Carmella with the cash in on SmackDown, and then Jinder. Remember we talked about him winning the U.S. title, easily forgettable, so I don't blame you. And then Cena and Undertaker's segment.
Yeah, Jinder winning the U.S. title was the one I was forgetting because I was just trying to.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
But the U.S. title match, I completely missed Bobby Roode's entrance, so I don't even know if it was something special.
It wasn't.
Okay, just the regular entrance.
Yeah.
So the U.S. title match was, I was hoping Rusev would win, and he didn't. He took the fall. And it's just not looking good for him. If he lasts past SummerSlam, I'll be amazed. Cena Taker. I thought it was good for what it was. I wasn't looking forward to any 20-minute match. And for him just coming out, doing his spots, chokeslam, tombstone, that's it. He's 24-2, which they didn't talk about, but that's fine. I thought it was good for what it was. Asuka tapping to Charlotte. See, I agree with you guys that this should have been a longer match and that Carmella should have cashed in after both of them were completely exhausted, regardless of who won the match. I think it was a wasted opportunity. I see how they could get away with it on SmackDown because of the Iconics. But the fact of the matter is, what do you do with Asuka now? I mean, she lost the streak, which was basically her gimmick for the last 2 years. What is she?
Well, what did you guys think about after the match when Asuka got a microphone and made Charlotte, or put Charlotte over even more? Asuka was pretty much she metaphorically just bowed to Charlotte. She said Charlotte was ready for Asuka. Congratulations. That wasn't necessary, I don't think.
For a second, because this happened before the Nakamura heel turn, I thought she told the crowd to shut it. She said Charlotte. So I was like, heel turn, this could be good. And then the hug and the whole sportsmanship. I'm not a fan of face versus face works once a decade, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Greg?
I have many opinions about the end of Charlotte and Asuka that don't actually involve the ending of the match. My problem is, and this was a problem throughout the night for me, the shots of Cena in the crowd and whatnot, it took away from Charlotte's big win over Asuka because the focus was on Cena getting ready for Taker.
Yep.
It's they could have made that just a segment in and of itself, but they chose, okay, and Asuka gets 2 big moments ruined by other people. I mean, the Rumble when Ronda Rousey came out, and then this was Cena going to chase The Undertaker after she lost her first match ever. It's Asuka is an afterthought in these big moments, and I don't know what that says for her.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we did have, and the way Mania was booked, I mean, when we had title changes, it seemed forgettable. Bludgeon Brothers became the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Nia became the Women's Champion for Raw. And Seth, as you mentioned earlier, Aaron, you liked that match. Seth became the IC champ. You guys can cover all those. I mean, WrestleMania was huge. We've all basically stated our review on this the day after. But I really want to focus on the 2 main events, and especially since TJS is here, because when Nakamura and AJ was announced, he said this match has got to go on last. I said, I know it's not going to. It's not going to go on last with Roman Reigns on the card. And I think, looking back at WrestleMania, the crowd was dead even for that match. But do you think if they would have changed the lineup up a little bit and maybe did Reigns and Lesnar earlier and maybe in the AJ Nakamura spot and then had AJ Nakamura last, that even if the fans were spent, do you think that would have went home better for the whole show? I'll start with you, TJS, and your thoughts on both of those title matches.
I'm not really sure because, I think that the crowd is more alive for Reigns and Lesnar than they were for AJ and Shinsuke. Not in a good way, but, there was at least some reaction. It felt like in AJ versus Shinsuke, they were sitting on their hands.
Yep. Now, let me point out something, since I was there, and it's played different on TV. There were some beach balls during the Reigns and Lesnar match. They were trying to do the wave, failed attempt. No, it just had your certain group of smarks that were trying that. Of course, beach balls got taken away fairly quickly, but there were a lot of them. They tried, this awful chance, the CM Punk chance. Nothing sustained for a super long time. If the crowd really hated this match, why did nothing sustain? And I was looking at a lot of people trying to be into that group, and you know what they were doing? They were trying to act like they didn't care, but they were still looking. They were still looking at the suplexes, and I didn't say nothing because I didn't want to get in a fight. But they weren't. They were looking. Go ahead. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Oh, there. You saw us. You're good.
Okay. Okay. I thought AJ was fine. I don't know. I thought AJ versus Shane from last year was better.
Yeah.
But I mean, I felt like they held back definitely because you know how WWE is. They want to get multiple matches out of these guys, so that's what they're going to do. I'm guessing. I'm sure match at Backlash, but I thought the match was fine. I thought the New Japan match was better, obviously, but I really did like the heel turn at the end because I wasn't expecting it. And fast forward a little bit to SmackDown, Nakamura is doing great as a heel, I think.
Yep.
But and as far as the Universal title match went, what do we do? What was it? 6 F5s that it took to beat Roman.
5 in the ring, 1 outside. Yes.
And it took 3 to end a 20-year streak. It took 1 to beat Braun. It took 1 to beat Joe. And Joe and Braun have both beaten Reigns. So, I just don't understand the logic of it. And then, I don't know, it felt like, I don't know. It was just weird. And then the blood, I'm not sure if he was busted open hard way or not.
Yeah.
But I felt like they were trying to get sympathy for Roman, I don't know. It was fine. I expected Roman to win, though, of course. And I was pleasantly surprised that Brock won. But now it looks like Brock is going to lose at the Greatest Rumble in Saudi Arabia. So, whatever. I just wish AJ versus Shinsuke would have closed with that heel turn because it would have been a big moment. So,
and that's kind of why I pointed that out, TJS, because, I'm thinking the fans might have been more into Nakamura AJ if it was last. Because to me, the fans, they thought they crapped on Reigns and Lesnar. In my opinion, they crapped on AJ and Nakamura. Craig, thoughts on these two big main events?
I can't remember a more disappointing set of main events since WrestleMania 21.
Yeah.
Because both of these matches were underwhelming. Actually, WrestleMania 25's world title matches were pretty terrible also.
Yeah.
But this one, AJ Nakamura just never seemed like it got going, and then all of a sudden Styles clash and it's over. It's like, cool. It's like, I'm a fan of both of the guys, so AJ winning, I didn't have a problem with. But it seems like they book these big matches for WrestleMania, and then they have their better matches at lower level pay-per-views. It's like, it's WrestleMania. You should put on the best show for your show of the year.
Yep.
Not just get everybody invested in the stories after.
Greg, do you think it's because WrestleMania sells regardless of how the matches are? You know what I mean? So it's like, why give the best product for that? Just people are there and they're happy. The entrances are there, the pyros. It's almost like that's what they do.
Yeah, it seems that way. And there's 1 or 2 matches at WrestleMania that typically are more memorable than any others for good reasons. But Reigns and Lesnar, I was just confused at the end. I was like, so now what happens? And I don't know how long Brock is signed for, Brock and Heyman are signed for. At this point, I really don't care. As terrible as that is, Lesnar's matches are suplex, F5. That's it. They haven't been anything special since the AJ match. And before that, the CM Punk match. So, I don't know.
Aaron, I know you've talked about this, but you want to add anything before we move to Raw?
Yeah, well, when I think of Lesnar versus Reigns from WrestleMania, it's just finishing spamming. That's what it was. They were just doing finisher. There was nothing to the match. I would have liked to have seen them actually brawl in the crowd or make it a no disqualification match, have them go into the crowd and fight, maybe go into the stands, like brawl all over the stadium. Just do something out of the box. Just to have this fight going all over the place, have them flipping over tables and throwing chairs at each other. Just make it two, like, beasts going at it. Godzilla and King Kong, that kind of match. Just total carnage and chaos. Instead, it's just finisher spamming. That's what it was. So it was very disappointing. And apparently, the finish was changed at the last minute. That's the word that's out there right now, that Reigns was supposed to win and literally found out the day of the show. And that's why on Raw he came out and cut that promo about Vince not cluing him in. And apparently that was a worked shoot. So yeah, the whole thing was just really bizarre. The whole storyline, I felt, was designed for Reigns to win, and that's why we all predicted Reigns to win, and then he doesn't win. And it looks like I'm gonna say he does win the title in Saudi Arabia. I would be really shocked, even more shocked than Reigns not winning at WrestleMania if he doesn't win in Saudi Arabia, because I think he's gonna get a much better reaction there, and to me, that's the place to do it. That's the place to do the title change. Nakamura and AJ, yeah, like Greg said, this is WrestleMania. They should have gone out there and had the best match possible. But of course, it's more about the entrances and the pomp and circumstance. And yeah, I felt like they held back, and I'm almost certain their next match will be better than their match at WrestleMania.
So Charlotte had that whole beginning Ric Flair entrance she had. I forgot to mention this earlier. I got goosebumps. That was incredible. Hearing the whole playthrough for Ric's song when she did that stand up off the throne. She was the champion. Nakamura is the challenger. Why does AJ get a basic entrance? But whatever, And looking at the main event, everybody, I think they were so disappointed because they expected Reigns to win. They wanted to be right because they were in the know all this time, and they were ready to boo him out of the building or just walk out, and they couldn't do it because Lesnar won. So very strange finish to WrestleMania. All right, let's go to Raw. So great chat with those. I mean, again, it was a fantastic weekend. NXT won the weekend. So Zayn and Owens lost their match at WrestleMania. Good to see Daniel Bryan back, and we'll obviously talk about him when we go to SmackDown here. Zayn and Owens showed up on Raw. Kurt Angle said maybe TNA is hiring or has some job openings. Got to mention that. That was awesome. They had a match, and if there was a winner, the winner was going to be signed to Raw. Since when does that move that Owens does off the top rope make both guys not respond to a 10 count? Let's go around the horn real quick on this because that bothered me. TJS, I'll start with you. It was a draw. What the heck?
Well, whenever it's for WWE, they make moves, death moves, like apron power bombs and whatever. I thought it was a great match, though. I wasn't sure what I expected, but Owens and Zayn are always going to have a good match. It doesn't matter what stage it is. But I'm curious to see where they go with this story. I guess they're both going to end up on Raw, but I thought it was a fine match. I thought it was really good.
Greg?
I think it'd be cool. Like, I know they did the tapings already for NXT, but I think it'd be cool if they just showed up there and be like, hey, we were both champions here. Maybe you'll take us back just to see if they can get a job there. But obviously, I think they're going to have a job, whether it's on Raw or SmackDown, or they split them up so that they're not working on the same show. But the Superstar shakeup, I think, will bring a little more clarity to that. But of course, I thought I could book WrestleMania. I got 3 matches right. So what do I know?
Exactly.
But it should be an interesting week coming up. The TNA line by Kurt Angle was fantastic.
Yep. Aaron, how much buzz did that TNA line get on the NoDQ forums page?
Oh, it was insane. Everyone was just buzzing about that. That was hilarious. That was one of my favorite moments of the entire weekend. The match itself, it was good, but TJS made a great point. When was the last time 2 guys in any match in recent memory knocked themselves out to the point where neither of them could answer the 10 count, especially with a move they've done in other matches before? So that was a little hard to really accept as credible, but it is what it is. I thought it was all right. They keep the storyline going. We'll see how it develops on next week's Superstar Shakeup. And Raw was a great show. Bobby Lashley came back. We had all the big debuts. We had Ember Moon show up. We had the Authors of Pain, and it looks like no more Paul Ellering, but I'm sure they'll be okay, at least for the short term. Long term, I'm not so sure, but we'll see. So yeah, it was a really fun Raw. I definitely enjoyed it. How was the atmosphere compared to WrestleMania, Virtue?
It was good. I mean, again, being in a smaller arena, but the chants obviously got going. Elias stole the show. I mean, they were so into his gimmick there.
I bet.
And why? I mean, they know this guy could pull in the crowd with the music bits. Why are they booking him to get beat up every time? And did that do any favors to Lashley? That's not the way you want to bring Lashley in, because sure, he came out at that point in front of that crowd on that Raw. People loved Elias, even though he was insulting them. So bringing Lashley out, squashing your guy that you're cheering for, people are like, "Oh, Lashley, you're back," but we want to hear more Elias. So let's go around the horn. You have any more thoughts on all these debuts, Aaron? And of course, the return of Jeff Hardy and his interesting Under Armour, and which again, I get it with the whole thing they're doing with Finn Balor. And I want to know everybody's thoughts on that movement that they're doing with that character. And Joe returned as well. Aaron, any thoughts on the returns of those guys?
Okay, well, yeah, you made a great point about Lashley coming back and beating up Elias. Maybe there was somebody else, but who? Who would they have? Who would they have Lashley come out and beat up? I'm trying to think. I mean, Miz, but Miz already had other stuff going on. Who would you say?
Kurt Hawkins.
Kurt Hawkins. Yeah.
Yeah. Or they could have just had Elias powder and Lashley didn't quite get to him, because then you could be like, wow, something might happen with these guys. You could have an actual feud with Elias.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like Kurt Hawkins. I think that would have been a good choice, maybe a better choice than Elias. Good one, Greg.
I mean, it was electric in there for him. I mean, it was deafening.
Yeah, and like I said,
his heat this year was like pretty much like Roman's last year at the beginning of Raw, even though it was a shorter period.
Well, not booing.
No, heat. There's good heat and bad heat. Yeah. Elias, the good heat, obviously, it was loud.
Yeah, that guy could not get booed. He was trying. He could not get booed by those fans, no matter what he said. And like I said, it's not like he could insult the town or whatever, because most of those fans are from other parts of the country. Not a lot of them are from New Orleans. So he wouldn't have been able to get away with making fun of the sports team. That wouldn't have worked. The other debuts and returns, I mean, Samoa Joe was awesome coming back. I love his promo. I thought he did excellent. He did not miss a beat. He was right back into the thick of things. I really enjoyed that. And, overall, I thought everybody shined on Raw, including Jeff Hardy coming back. It looks like, at least for the time being, he's going to be off on his own. Maybe he's going to get drafted to SmackDown. I thought maybe they would keep the Brother Nero thing going, but it looks like maybe that's going to go in a different direction. So I'm really curious to see what's next for Jeff Hardy, if maybe he gets drafted to SmackDown Live.
Greg, thoughts on these returns and debuts? And then, of course, Elias.
I know Aaron will agree on this. Lashley's new theme sucks.
Yeah.
If they don't have the rights to his old one, which I think was a Jim Johnston thing, which is probably why they didn't do it, because, CFOs. But they should have had him come back with his old theme. Him coming out against Elias, whatever for me. I mean, he came back. It didn't matter who he was against. The fact is, he came back. Jeff Hardy coming back was cool. It was good to see him. That segment between him, Matt, Bray, and Finn and Seth was pretty entertaining. And Virtue, I know you were trying to stir stuff up, and maybe you agree with Balor's whole LGBT pushing that thing. I don't think it's a gimmick change. I think it's just something to support the movement. I think he's still the same Finn Balor. I don't think anything's changed as far as that goes. Who else came back? Ember Moon had a good
and AOP.
No Way Jose.
Who? Adam Rose? Who?
Carlito.
No Way Jose. Yeah. No Way Jose. Whatever. I'm thinking that's going to go the same way Adam Rose did. You bring out so many people, it's like, okay, this is fun for a minute, and then, but maybe I'm wrong, because he didn't do a whole lot in NXT, and sometimes the people that don't do a lot in NXT actually become bigger stars on the main roster. Elias, Alexa Bliss, to name two. So I thought it was a good episode of Raw, and I'm really looking forward to the Superstar shakeup.
All right, TJS, and here's my whole thoughts on the Finn Balor thing. This is what WWE does now. They try to, they've always pushed the Make-A-Wish. Now it's the women's revolution, and let's face it, there is a movement of equality even with sexuality and that type of stuff, and they're using Finn Balor as the tool. I'm sorry, that's what they're doing. And maybe it was Finn's idea. I'm cool with it. I'm just saying, I wonder how far they're going to go with it. Because, again, why not bring more eyeballs? There might be people that don't like wrestling but support what Finn Balor, and what's that thing he comes out to, the forever over type thing? I think that's a cool gimmick, and I know why the over is capitalized, because Vince McMahon doesn't think Finn's over. So, I'm cool. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it. I think it's more than just merchandise. Go ahead, TJS.
I agree with you. I think this is a bridge into something more. There were the rumors that James Ellsworth was going to become a transgender character. I think that we're going to see a gay character soon in WWE. Maybe not Finn, but I think that we're definitely going to see one soon. Because WWE is very politically correct.
Well, they had Darren Young, but he flopped. I mean, remember they even had him with Backlund to reboot him, and that didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't do the Velveteen Dream. He's already flamboyant enough.
Yeah,
and it's entertaining. I mean, I think this stuff is entertaining.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to go the creepy Orlando Jordan TNA route. I mean, he can still be the Velveteen Dream. You can announce that. Perhaps he's gay, and it's fine because he's an entertaining character and he's fantastic in the ring. So it's okay, just run with that. That's fine.
Yeah, Velveteen Dream reminds me a lot of Goldust, honestly. But it was a great episode of Raw. I'm not really a fan of AOP ditching Paul Ellsworth because there was a YouTube clip after Raw went off the air, and they talked about how they're closing the book on El Ring, which I know that he doesn't want to do the travel or whatever. That's what I heard, but I don't know where these guys are going to go from there because they've never really cut a promo before. Who goes on the main roster without ever cutting a promo? It's weird. No Way Jose stuff was forgettable. I've never really cared for the guy. The gimmick just doesn't interest me. But I guess they did kill two birds with one stone. Had his character debut in New Orleans. The big party city. So maybe that's why he was so over. And Ember Moon, it bugs me with Ember Moon. I don't understand why she's not getting a rematch for the NXT Women's Championship. I forgot that rematch calls just don't exist anymore. But we'll get to that later on.
Yep.
Jeff Hardy coming back was in. He wore the rainbow stuff just like Finn. And I'm kind of happy that he's going to be on his own, it looks like. But there was also a YouTube clip for this where Jeff said that Brother Nero was going to be stagnant. It was going to be come and go. So we'll see what happens. I think he'll end up on SmackDown personally. But, what am I missing here? Oh, Joe. Joe coming back was just incredible. The guy's super, super over. And he kind of felt like a babyface in this promo because he said that Reigns lied to the fans, he lied to his family, and he just keeps failing and everything. And, then he challenged Reigns at Backlash. Maybe that's going to be for the Universal Championship. I don't know. But overall, just a great, great episode of Raw.
Greg.
The one thing I want to say about Reigns' promo is it came off to me, and I'm sure this is not the way they wanted to do it, it came off to me like he was whining. Like he was almost acting like a heel, being like he had built-in excuses for everything. It's okay, if you were really a man, you would say Lesnar beat the crap out of you, and
he should be a heel. He should be.
Why is he getting another match?
I guarantee you, if Joe just shows up and starts talking with another wrestler in the ring, sure, people would have been happy to see him return. Roman makes the other guys more liked. Vince McMahon's Vince McMahon, though.
Yeah, and what TJ was saying, why is Joe getting an automatic title rematch when he lost and he was never champion to begin with, yet the champions, like Randy Orton and the Usos, had to fight for their return matches? What's the deal with that? But yeah,
let's go to SmackDown. We're moving to SmackDown, and we'll talk about that. So obviously we know Paige retired on Raw. Did they actually air that speech?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it was weird the way they did it. I thought it was right after something and they went to commercial. So, okay, so Paige retired on Raw. So, before we talk about that and her, though, let's go to SmackDown. So, Orton has to wrestle for his rematch, and the Usos have to wrestle for the rematch. Why do they only give rematches for the big two titles now, or in the women's title? Like, go ahead. TJS, we'll start with you, then pass it on. What do you think on that?
Apparently, that's how it works now. Or this is just WWE needing filler, which is what I suspect. So I'm guessing that they're like, oh, New Day versus Usos, that was a big time feud. Let's just throw it on the SmackDown after Mania. It'll be a big show then. And then was it Orton versus Rusev versus Bobby Roode? Was that the match on SmackDown?
Yeah.
Triple.
So did we just see that match on the go home show for SmackDown? That's what it felt like.
Probably.
I don't know. It's ridiculous. Again, thunderous Rusev Day chants. The guy is just stupid over. And of course, Randy Orton. I just thought it was pointless.
Filler.
To have the match. Yeah, it was filler. That's all it was. Because it's a rematch clause. It's been that way for years. If you lose the championship, you get a rematch. Yeah. Even The Miz mentioned it on Raw. Yep. He wants his rematch at Backlash. So what's the excuse? They're both mid-card titles, the Intercontinental and United States. So I'm not understanding why Randy wasn't just like, hey, I want my rematch. I shouldn't have to be in this triple threat match. Yep. Same thing with the Usos. It doesn't make sense to me. Whatever.
They need to hire a writer that all he does is repeat, or dish out logic back to what the other writers are writing. That's what I think. Greg?
People give Road Dogg a lot of crap. It's like Road Dogg freaking worked for how long?
But I mean, I won't blame Road Dogg on this stuff because it still goes through Vince McMahon. So like, why is who's exactly not thinking of this logic? I won't throw Road Dogg under the bus for any of that.
If you've ever seen Road Dogg's Twitter of how much he has to defend his decision, I almost feel bad for the guy. It's like, geez, it's like, don't give him all the heat. Most of those probably aren't his decisions.
Right.
I feel like he's getting like the Russo heat for all these. SmackDown, I don't know what to say about it. I felt like they gave away like a lot of stuff that they shouldn't. Like the Money in the Bank cash-in, I think should have happened at Mania. They gave away Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles on free TV, which Nakamura interfered, and of course that is what it is. SmackDown, to me, I think a lot of people by the time we got to SmackDown, especially after TakeOver, the Hall of Fame, WrestleMania, and the Raw after Mania, were like, okay, we just got to get through this like together. I don't know why they just don't move it to like live on Thursdays. I don't know.
Well, the problem with SmackDown, it was the last thing of the WrestleMania week, and it was also the last thing before this shakeup. So it was really in a spot where, well, what can we do here? I mean, come on, Iconic. That's the Iconics is what SmackDown gets after Raw gets all these new people and returns. Nothing against Iconics. I'm just saying,
Here's my problem with the Superstar shakeup doing it so quickly after the Raw after Mania. The Raw and SmackDown have the call-ups from NXT, the returns, and all that big stuff. And they don't get used to their new roles before it's like, oh, you might switch brands. It's like, okay, so you're on this show this week. You might be on this show next week. We don't know. It's like, give them a little time. That's why I liked when they did the drafts in like June or July time frame, because it's not near WrestleMania. It's not when a bunch of people are coming on. It's just...
But after WrestleMania, it's supposed to be the culmination. WrestleMania is. So it's supposed to be a new year. So, new year, new brands, you know. So maybe that's why they switch brands. Even though WrestleMania is not the culmination, it seems.
Right.
Whatever. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, great point, TGS. I mean, it feels like WrestleMania should be the end of feuds, and then after WrestleMania you start new feuds, but sometimes at WrestleMania it's the start of a feud, and then you get the better matches later on in the year. Like Greg, I think, mentioned WrestleMania 21, which is a great comparison, and I was there at that one. That WrestleMania started off red hot. You had the first Money in the Bank, you had Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, you had Undertaker, Randy Orton, which in my opinion is a very underrated Undertaker WrestleMania match. You had, of course, Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle. And then at the end, starting with Big Show and Akibono, and then the title matches, it kind of just fell off a cliff, in my opinion. That's how this year's WrestleMania was. And as far as SmackDown goes, I thought it was a fine show for what it was. I think people were just burned out with wrestling for this week. As far as the shakeup, I get what TJS is saying. It's like the end of a season and they're starting up a brand new season. I think that's why they do it. But at the same time, what Greg is saying, I think it's good when you have a little bit of a break so people can take a little bit of time to digest everything that they've just been given. And we really don't have that time. We have the Superstar Shakeup. We have the Greatest Royal Rumble. We have Backlash, all less than a 1 month span together. So it's just a lot to really digest right now. And we've been talking here about all this stuff, and we still have more to talk about because we have the Superstar Shakeup. We have the whole Rusev situation. So Virtue, what's next on our list here?
Well, I mean, we didn't talk about Paige being GM. So that, to me, that's all they put all the eggs in that basket as the big surprise, even more so than the Iconics. Because not only was she the new GM, now Daniel Bryan is officially a full-time wrestler. And so Paige's big announcement was to say, she basically gave away AJ and Daniel Bryan. And so WWE must be thinking, this is what's going to make this SmackDown great. But why? Why in the hell and let's not lie, when Paige first said AJ Styles, or what did she say? Daniel Bryan verse or something like that. And they chanted Rusev Day. That didn't make TV.
It got edited. It got edited off the YouTube video. Live, there were the Rusev Day chants, and then she had to say the line again so the fans would get the hint that they're supposed to say AJ. And then once they said AJ, she said AJ. But yeah, on the YouTube video, the Rusev Day chants were completely edited out.
And you can see them chanting Rusev Day.
Yes.
Yes, so this is the great segue. So obviously I didn't want to talk about, but we kind of already did with the cash-in with Iconics beating up Charlotte and Carmella's cash-in. We kind of already talked about that. So now let's talk about Rusev Day. So Paige comes out. They make the match. She makes the match with Daniel Bryan and AJ. They gave it away for free. They didn't even really hype it throughout the show. What I think should have happened is Nakamura should have killed someone's entrance, and the match never happened. That would have gave him all these people like, yes, we're going to get AJ and Daniel Bryan right now, and it never even happened. But no, they didn't do that. They had him come out late. They actually wrestled a little bit. So to me, that's fine. Now Daniel Bryan's just part of the regular TV roster. But with that said, Rusev Day was announced that Rusev was going to face Undertaker at the Greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. And when was that announced, Aaron? Like Sunday, Monday, early this week?
That was announced. Was it announced this morning or was it announced last night? I'm not sure.
It was announced in the last 48 hours.
Tuesday.
And so now, and then I see him tweet, bury me lightly, softly, or bury me softly or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening with Rusev Day? Now I'm kind of interested. Is there going to be a total squash and then all of a sudden today, Aaron, Greg, and Tyler, my boy, Chris Jericho, got the match against Undertaker. Now I'm actually interested in this Greatest Royal Rumble. Nothing against Rusev, and I know it's going to let a lot of Rusev Day fans down, but I'm not pissed off because it's Jericho. So everybody, what are your thoughts? And let me give you mine first. I don't know what the deal is, if Rusev is asking for his release, if they got mad about him, if they had cold feet because the Rusev Day chants, would that translate at Saudi Arabia? And they didn't want that to kind of disrespect The Undertaker. Jericho, they know in foreign land, draws heat. If he needs to be that heel, I mean, he punched a woman in Vancouver, pie-faced her. They bombarded him. The kick of the Brazilian flag. Jericho knows, and JBL too. They know how to draw heel heat in foreign land. So if that's why they did it, so it makes The Undertaker get cheered and Jericho does not pander to people that cheer for him, I get it. But why? What do you guys think happened? Aaron, I want to start with you. I'm actually going to talk about this on my Virtues Rage in more depth after we do this video because it's a hot topic for me. Go ahead.
Well, it's funny about Rusev because when the match was announced, everybody was complaining. They're like, "Oh, this is the literal and figurative burial of Rusev." And now when Jericho's announced as his replacement, people are like, "Well, Rusev's not getting this spot now. They're burying him by taking him out of this match and throwing him in the Rumble." So it's like, make up your mind, people. Are they burying him or not by having him in this match or not having him in this match? I mean, people.
Oh, is he in the Rumble?
I'm assuming he is. They need 50 bodies, so I would think he's going to be there. But they
now,
haven't.
does anybody think that WWE's protecting Rusev Day because they saw a quick backlash of getting buried, and they're like, shit, we better not have Rusev in this match against Taker because it might. He is selling merch.
Yeah, this is the weirdest situation right now. Go ahead, TJS.
But a match with Undertaker is a big deal, especially in today's age. So if they were going to have him work with Undertaker, then that's a big deal. So I think that people were looking at this the wrong way. They're saying, oh, they're going to bury Rusev, literally. I don't think so. I was actually looking forward to Rusev versus Undertaker. Maybe the casket match thing was a rib, but if that was so, then why is it still a casket match with Jericho? I think the plan is, I don't think they're going to bury Rusev. I just think that they liked Rusev, and maybe they trusted him enough to work with Undertaker. Who knows? But I don't even know.
Why do you think they pulled Rusev and then put Jericho in there, though? Just off the top of your head, why do you think they did that?
Well, the only thing that I could think of is maybe that Rusev did ask for his release. I heard that he's not being advertised for Extreme Rules. So, and I mean, Meltzer talked about this and said that he doubts that Rusev asked for his release. And you see Rusev tweeting and everything. I think it's a work. I think Rusev's just trolling the fans. I don't know though.
Right.
If I had to guess, I guess that Jericho versus Undertaker would be a bigger match, and they didn't want to waste a Jericho appearance for the Rumble.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I just wanted to add to that. Regarding Rusev possibly asking for his release. I mean, you look back at Ryback, he left the company, but they didn't just release him. He had to go home and sit out the rest of his contract for however long it was, 6 months or whatever. And I think the same thing would apply to Rusev. If he got released, he would have to wait out his contract. So he might as well just stick it out and just go along with whatever WWE wants him to do. But people are saying, well, you know what, Rusev is on TV every week and he's selling merchandise, he's making money. But knowing these guys, they want to be able to succeed as much as possible. They're there because they're very driven people. They all want to be the top guy. If Rusev has a glass ceiling, I could see him being really frustrated and wanting to leave despite making money, despite being on TV every week. He still feels disrespected and feels like he has no upward mobility in WWE. So it's a really bizarre situation because he tweets all this stuff. We don't know what's a work, what's not. It's confusing. Is it drawing money? I mean, the question is, if you're going to throw off fans and work them, is it leading to money being drawn? And I really don't know. I don't know if this is helping Rusev's case. I really don't know. I'm just confused as much as everybody else watching this right now. Greg, your thoughts on the whole Rusev situation? What do you think is going to happen with him?
He's praying that Rusev's still with WWE.
The more I think about this, I don't think this is done to hurt Rusev by taking him out of the match for a couple points. Maybe they realize that in Saudi Arabia, the Rusev Day chance will be over, and they don't want that babyface cheering to go to Rusev over The Undertaker.
I agree.
And at the same time, we all know Rusev would not win that match. There is no way that they would book Rusev over The Undertaker, quite frankly, in any match from now on.
Especially a casket match.
Especially Taker's specialty. So maybe they're doing this to protect Rusev so that he doesn't have to take another loss to The Undertaker, who's semi-retired, even if it is a specialty match. So I don't have a problem with taking Rusev out of that and throwing him in the Rumble. I don't know if Jericho's still going to be in the Rumble because he was originally announced, but since they switched him, I haven't checked who's all in it.
And why do they have Triple H and Cena? You know what I mean? After the whole WrestleMania thing, Cena posted that cryptic playing on the piano, that same song that Elias was first playing on his guitar when he came out. Why wouldn't they just make Cena and Undertaker since it's the biggest show? You know what I mean? It's this weird booking for this Greatest Royal Rumble match.
That makes too much sense. This is WWE. You have to check your brain at the door.
Thanks, Tyler. Greg, what's your thoughts with that?
Cena Triple H, that's a match we haven't seen in a long time. The last time I remember seeing them one-on-one, and I'm sure this isn't right. I was going to say 2008. 2009, around that time frame when they were still on the same brand. But other than that, they haven't really faced each other one-on-one. So that's probably what they wanted to do. They wanted to have a big match feel, and they know that Taker probably couldn't do a 20-minute match like we talked about with WrestleMania earlier, and we know that Triple H can. I mean, he was just in the match of the night at WrestleMania. So Cena, Triple H, those two in that spot, I don't have a problem with it. And of course, I mean, I'll say it right now.
Yep.
I'm of course excited about the 50-man Rumble because it's me.
Yeah.
So I don't know who all they're gonna have. I hope they don't announce all 50, but you kind of probably get spoilers. It's because it's not like you can sneak people into Saudi Arabia to be surprised. So
what do you think they're going to do for entries? 60 seconds?
I don't know.
Minute and a half?
Yeah.
I don't think they'll go any longer than 90 seconds. If you do 2 minutes, the Rumble match is going to be 2 hours, which, again, I wouldn't have a problem with, but I'm not everybody else.
Well, they already don't do 90-second. They don't do 2 minutes as it is. I think they do 90 seconds at the longest, and sometimes I think somebody was doing a count of the time, and I think sometimes it was as short as 60 seconds. It really just depended on guys coming out and the timing and everything, but yeah, I think no more than 60 seconds with 50 guys. I think anything longer would make that match drag out way too long.
Well, the thing is, if that's a big arena like they say it's going to be, like it's supposed to be 70, 80,000 people, you're going to have a long rampway. So you have to have at least 90 seconds for them to get there. Otherwise, you're entering, and then 10 seconds later, somebody else is entering. It's going to be complete chaos. So you have to have at least 90 seconds, in my opinion.
They'll all be running down there, and they'll get blown up. So, all right, great discussion, but it is time for the main event. I do have more to say on the whole Jericho Taker casket match situation, but this is how I cheaply plug my Virtues Rage video. So everybody goes to NoDQ.com when I post it. You're going to have to see what I say, my details on that over there. You like how I did that, Aaron?
Yes, very well done. Nice cheap plug.
Main event time. Can't give it all away here when I'm going to be talking about it on my own thing. All right, main event time. Superstar shakeup coming up on Monday and Tuesday on Raw and SmackDown. There's a couple names, and I'm sure you got, I'll let you guys talk first on this, that I'd like to see go to particular brands, and I'm pretty sure one of you guys will probably say the same thing. So, Tyler, I'm going to start with you. Any big, bold predictions, like who might go where? Any obvious, like to revitalize somebody's character? Go.
Okay, I'm going to say that this is probably the boldest pick. I think Braun Strowman is going to go to SmackDown. I think the Usos are going to go to Raw. Revival will go to SmackDown. I think Bayley or Sasha will go to SmackDown. See, this is harder because I'm not sure how many people are going to move. I think the mid-card titles are going to stay where they are. I hope that Bobby Roode goes to Raw. I think that would help him. Baron Corbin, I think, should also go to Raw. And maybe we'll get some announcers that are going to move. Personally, I'd be happy if Booker T came back and took Coach's spot, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Interesting. I see Aaron in a state of That's like the Undertaker losing to Lesnar reaction right there from Aaron.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to call because hopefully we get some more call-ups with this, though. I think Daniel Bryan, AJ, and Shinsuke will all stay on SmackDown. But like I said, I'm just hoping that we have some more call-ups because SmackDown really got the short end of the stick here. What about you, Aaron? What do you think?
Well, first of all, is Coach really that bad that you want Booker T to come back?
I think Booker T's interesting at least. Coachman is just so boring, I think.
They're all boring.
Well, Booker T and Corey have created that, rapport back and forth with each other. That could be very entertaining, bickering. But again, does that take away from the show?
I think it does take away from the show. But yeah, I did mention this. I think Miz and Daniel Bryan will end up on the same brand. I don't know who's going where, but my feeling is SmackDown is going to get gutted, most likely, because it's what usually happens. Raw gets all the good picks. SmackDown might get 1 or 2 stars. Maybe Finn Balor will go to SmackDown, but I think you're going to see Raw get the bulk of the talents. Probably Daniel Bryan. maybe Bobby Roode, maybe the Usos, like TJS mentioned. Maybe one of the top women stars. Maybe Asuka will go to SmackDown. I think Asuka and Finn Balor maybe will be the top 2 Raw people to go over to SmackDown. From SmackDown, I think Bobby Roode will be one of the main guys. And I don't see AJ Styles moving, but that could be a huge shock if we're talking about surprises. That would definitely be a big surprise. But I think the biggest surprise would be Reigns going to SmackDown. As I would say, I think that's highly unlikely in all likelihood. What do you think, Greg?
I don't see Reigns moving at all. There's been rumors that Seth Rollins would go to SmackDown. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, he's the Intercontinental Champion, but they swapped shows last year, so I don't know. I'm going to pick Finn Balor to go to SmackDown. I say Asuka goes to SmackDown officially. As much as I don't want them to separate Sasha and Bayley, the fact that they're having a match on Raw and not like some pay-per-view build-up, I think is ridiculous. They should have had a WrestleMania match. So unfortunately, I think they're going to split them up. I'm going to say Sasha Banks goes to SmackDown. And tag team, I think, since I think Finn Balor's going to SmackDown, I'm going to say the club goes with them.
Interesting.
Anderson and Gallows.
Interesting.
And AJ would be over there too. So, I mean, you can have all 4 of them be the club.
I mean, you could do Balor versus AJ Styles. You could do a big feud with those guys. What do you think about Bryan possibly going to Raw? I
don't see that happening. I mean, he might because they want like a big babyface over on Raw because, you know, Roman is Roman. But the thing is, if they put Bryan and Roman on the same show, the fans are going to crap all over Roman just like they did 3 years ago for Fastlane when they had their match.
Good point.
And they're going to want Daniel Bryan to be the champion. I mean, that's the way it's going to be. So I don't think Bryan and Reigns end up on the same show.
Interesting.
As far as going to Raw, I'm going to say, I don't want to say Orton moves to Raw. I don't care for that. Bobby Roode moving to Raw, I could see. I could see them moving somebody like Ty Dillinger to Raw because he's not doing anything on SmackDown. I would like to see Baron Corbin on Raw. I think they could actually do stuff with him. So I don't have a whole lot of picks. I don't even know who I would pick for the women's. Who would even make sense? Naomi to Raw?
Maybe.
Which would separate her from the Usos if they did that. But I don't know. They like to throw swerves at us. So you can't really predict because you don't know who's going to move.
Well, you know what, Greg? I do like that idea, like Naomi and the Usos jump in the Raw. The Usos are one of the hottest acts on SmackDown, so it makes perfect sense if my theory is correct and SmackDown's getting gutted. I think you take the hottest act from SmackDown, which is the Usos, and move them over to Raw. I definitely see that as a possibility, and Naomi would go with them most likely. So yeah, I think that's a very solid pick there. What do you think, Virch?
All right. So Zayn and Owens, I just think they're going to end up on Raw. I don't know why, both of them. So they're going to go over there. I think so. Roman's going to win the Universal title, stay on Raw, so they'll have their title. I think Bryan's going to stay on SmackDown. Nakamura is going to stay on SmackDown. I think Nakamura will become the WWE champion. I think AJ Styles is going to be on Raw. Now, if he goes on Raw, he's still the champion. Nakamura will somehow still win that title, so it ends up on SmackDown. So I say AJ is going to Raw. I really feel that's going to happen. And then you're going to have Bryan, Nakamura remain on SmackDown, and I think that Miz will also go to SmackDown.
There you go.
That's what. So to me, SmackDown's going to have a pretty good. You know, Nakamura, Miz, Daniel Bryan, I think they'll end up being okay. Raw's going to get their big name, and I could see Charlotte go to Raw as well. And like you said, Greg, Asuka officially goes over to SmackDown now that Carmella's champ. Again, it's crazy. I mean, we know it's not, I would say, 3 or 4 big names are going to jostle back and forth, but, you know, it's just weird, and it's hard to exactly predict, but that's my thought. I mean, anybody. I think AJ is going to be the big one. Like, whoa, that's just my
Makes
opinion.
sense with that whole theory about gunning SmackDown. That would definitely be a big pick. Absolutely.
So you guys think that Braun Strowman's going to stay on Raw?
Yeah, Vince. That's Vince's show, and that's one of Vince's big guys.
I agree on that. I think
Nia's staying on Raw too, in my opinion.
I just don't see what's left Strowman to do on Raw. He needs some fresh matchups, I think. I don't know. I guess the shakeup would fix that and bring some guys over on Raw.
AJ Styles and Braun Strowman.
I think that would be a good match. That's a mismatch. But
Sammy and KO versus Strowman, because they're sidekicks with each other. I don't know.
Who do you put Strowman against, really? He had matches with Brock Lesnar. He's had matches with Roman Reigns. He's had matches. Has he had a match with Samoa Joe? Lashley. Exactly. Yeah, we forgot about Lashley. So yeah, I think
the big guys are staying on Raw. I think
Strowman will stay on Raw.
Wonder if the general managers will switch or anything, because it looks like Kurt Angle was not getting any punishment or anything for what he did at WrestleMania. I guess it was a match and everything, but still, the evil authorities should have him guilty by association or whatever.
That would make no sense, though, with Paige just moving over from Raw to SmackDown and then moving back. That would be really
Coachman and Saxton would be, if they did anything there, Coachman and Saxton, then nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly.
Hashtag bring back Booker.
How about draft Michael Cole to SmackDown and have Mauro Ranallo be drafted to Raw? How about that?
That's a good dream, Aaron. I dream of that, but not going to happen. Michael Cole's the voice.
The comments should light up for this one, though, especially with the shakeup coming up. People are going to be putting all their different opinions in there, so that'll be cool. That'll be cool for me to go in there, and then everybody knows my buddy Cody Kalinske will go in there, and if you say anything against me in any way, he will slay you down.
And he's really a nice person.
He's really a nice guy, though. I think he likes you, Greg. He puts you over. He's like, I like the PA sensation. So,
well, who doesn't?
Yeah, that's all I got. Anybody else got anything else, or we'll bring it home?
I just want to say this real quick as far as the commentators go. Tom Phillips is underrated. I actually enjoy Tom Phillips.
What?
It's just me. He's not my favorite. I still like Ronaldo as my favorite, but the Tom Phillips and Corey Graves dynamic works for me because they were commentators in NXT together. They had this back and forth that I really enjoyed. So Tom Phillips and Corey Graves being on the same team, I like. I'm also a Corey Graves fan because, he trained me, but, that's another story for another time.
I don't know. Phillips just good for me. He doesn't sound into it at all. He just sounds like a robot. I think Graves is super overrated myself. I don't know.
Who do you like better, him or Cole?
Graves or Cole? Who do I like more?
No,
Graves.
Phillips.
No. Cole or Phillips?
I'm gonna go Cole because UK tournament. Cole was great in the UK tournament. I mean, I don't know, all the micromanagement that's going on. It's in his ear all the time, and he does a good job of executing it, but he's not. We need a different play-by-play commentator, Michael Cole. I think he'd work better as a color. That's it.
I got you. Well, I don't know if it's just me, but your connection's getting a little choppy. So you want to go ahead and get your plugs out there, TJS?
You can follow me on Instagram at Tyler Joseph Smith, on Twitter at Mr. Tyler J. Smith, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tyler Smith. I'm not sure if Aaron's still doing the beanies or not, but you can hit him up at NoDQ&AV@gmail.com if you want one of those. Same thing goes with that lovely beach ball in the background, ProWrestlingTees.com. Get your NoDQ shirts. Aaron's wearing the NoDQ video shirt. Virtue has the Virtue's Raid shirt. You can get your Interstate Kyle shirt. All the personalities. They got them all. But that'll do it for me, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, it was an honor to have you on. You need to change your handle to TJS NoDQ or NoDQ TJS. People, let us know which one is better. I think you should change your handles on all social media. NoDQ TJS. Okay. I like it.
Good idea. I'll go with it.
That way everybody can remember it real easily. We would love to have you back on for more videos. You were great. And thank you for shilling all the merch. It's much appreciated. Yes, the beanies are coming back, so stay tuned for that. The beanies should be ready in the next couple of days. I got more beach balls available and got some other stuff coming up. We have belts courtesy of Bad Billy J. That's etsy.com/shop/badbillyj. He made that fabulous $1. Oh shit! I just said $1. I just totally screwed myself over.
What kind of cheap crap are you giving me, Rift?
$1,000. Yeah, I just totally ruined it. I just totally killed the.
He always lowballs numbers like $100 super chat donation to Ban Virtue. Yeah.
Oh.
That should have been 1,000. That should have been 1,000, 5,000.
Well, I learned my lesson, Virtue, just so you know.
Any plugs, Aaron? I mean, all the no DQ stuff everybody
Oh,
knows.
geez, what have I not talked about yet that I haven't already? Well, like I was trying to say, there's belts coming up from Bad Billy J, which will be available soon. I'm thinking about doing maybe a special offer where people could get all three items, the beanie, the beach ball, and the belt for a certain price or whatever. So stay tuned for all that, and that's all I got. Greg?
Right. You can see me on this coming soon. I have a championship to defend. And Riff's got some good challengers lined up for me, and hopefully some good questions. Follow me on Twitter at PA Sensation. I'm still selling DVDs. I actually just got rid of a couple of them today to fellow wrestling fans. So I'll still be selling them. Just hit me up on Twitter. You need to pay shipping. I'm sorry, I'm not factory, but they're $5 a piece for the DVDs. You can buy them all for $125. And there's like 40 DVDs left in that collection, so it's a good deal for the price.
And I'll sign every one of them if you want.
If you buy the entire lot for $125, I will sign all of them.
All right, good deal. And everybody knows I'm on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. Virtue's Rage videos, which I'm going to be doing one about the whole Jericho being put into the casket match one, at the Greatest Royal Rumble. That's coming up soon. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter, and you're going to want to. I'm over 1,000 followers, and this weekend I'm going to pick a random person to win one of these at my expense. I do things on other websites, but my heart and soul is at NoDQ with the review, the panel, and Virtue's Rage, so everybody knows where to catch me. See the NoDQ Galaxy later.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Jeff Meacham Network. The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
JJ, Jeff, you want to kick this thing off? Because I'm still trying to process everything here.
Yeah, it's like,
who wants to go first?
Yeah, who wants to go first?
well,
Come on in. It's open mic night with your host.
you could maybe say there's really 4 topics, but it's split into 6.
The Renegade, JJ Williams.
The Sammy and Eddie Kingston thing, which one's the better smelling turd?
And his panel of co-hosts.
I am the founder. We'll call me that for today since we're going with the Jeff Jarrett love theme here this week, according to JJ.
The West Coast Professor, Jeff Meacham.
Karma is karma.
That's professional wrestling! Damn it!
The Simple Man, Noah Foster.
It's showtime! Yeah! How you doing, JJ? How you doing, Jeff?
James.
Yeah.
And the He-Man, James Hebert.
Imagine Bill Burr, Joe Rogan, Paul White, the Baldies! There you go! It sells itself! Get in there!
Short his ass and shit the bed.
He's not Amber Heard.
Give it time, JJ, give it time.
Now, I'm sure Jeff has some stuff that...
Dumb move. Just don't pull this bullshit again. You get one.
Tony needs to stop caring about the ratings.
Bradshaw said as long as the ads are in place, we're not going to lose that third hour.
Ring of Honor does not have to be AEW Live. They don't necessarily have to coexist with each other. We kind of saw that tonight to a degree.
Along with a panel of guests.
He is no longer glorious. Don't you bring that up. You want me to rant about what my NXT used to... No, we are done here for the night. I swear, James.
Because you never know who may show up for open mic night.
I leave our company in the capable hands of an extraordinary group of superstars, employees, and executives.
The first thing that came to my mind was, it's about damn time.
Amen!
I literally touched everybody in the state's trash. So it's horrible, you guys.
Peyton's new thing is Dennis the Menace, but it's funny because she calls it Dentist the Medicine.
That's great.
When Elliot Taylor came out and did Born for Greatness live, I was popping my pussy, having a great time. I didn't care. I was having so much fun.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Fuck Bill Belichick.
Football thing. We got it on wrestling, and then you bring in that shit. That's just how the fan goes off the damn rails. Brilliant, bloody brilliant.
As you start to go through those, I got to go to Noah here, and I've got to ask, what did you think of the offering that they presented overall today? We always talk about how WWE is not your flavor anymore, how you prefer the professional wrestling, damn it, that AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan, etc., offers. What do you think of the show that was given to you by WWE tonight?
It's one of those things where I don't look at professional wrestling as a hierarchy, because at the end of the day, all these companies bring their own art form, their own way. But again, it comes down to the booking, the way I figure about how many of these are like rematches per se or rehashes. And I was wondering about the results. Did any of them truly have merit besides the main event? And the fact this premium live event was headlined not by a championship match, but a bitter grudge. ending on the most craziest stages in the WWE. I fought for what the show was trying to do and move forward. When you figure about the Judgment Day, stay strong. Bobby Lashley finally can maybe move forward. Bianca Belair finally might be done with Becky Lynch, and it could be moving on to bigger and brighter things too. And again, Cody and the fact that he did that with a torn pectoral muscle too, that just raises the whole different level of a game that WWE wants to try and present, and what Cody wants to try and do to at least make sure we are entertained. This was a really good premium live event tonight. And honestly, I enjoyed this more than last night's In Your House.
Yes, agreed.
Go back to that comment that you just had up from John there, Jeff, because I think that is the sentiment of the entire room. Everything that I have seen since I started watching again, be it Rumble, Chamber, Mania Backlash, and now Hell in a Cell, have been really good shows, but with the exception of potentially Rumble and Mania, just not very well built. You know, you figure that Moss Corbin match was added last minute on Friday, considering SmackDown had zero representation on the show except for that match.
Right.
You know, why did the Usos not have a match with somebody? Granted, Orton is out for right now, so we couldn't have Rated RK Bro versus the Usos in a cell, but we could have had Shinsuke and Riddle against the Usos at the show here. We could have had some bloodline representation, even if not the head of the table, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns himself.
Well,
good point. And so let me start off by saying, first of all, guys, we're not going to go anywhere past 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, because I got to get my ass to bed. The countdown is on to departure for the Magic Kingdom, so I got to get to bed. But thanks to
so do I. So,
are you bouncing now, Mikey?
I was just going to quickly say that I'll throw out my last few bits and then I'll cut it for the night. So I'll say thank you to everybody for having me on the show. We loved it. Lori and I watched the show. She was really concerned from the reveal, and she actually said at three times during the match, "I don't think I can watch anymore." If you don't believe wrestling is, don't use the F word in wrestling. That was as real as it got. This will surpass. This surpasses Foley going off the top of the cell. This is now the number one movement. No. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
No. Cody going in there with a severely pectoral torn muscle, tops falling off the cell right now.
I completely agree. You didn't need to use the cell for a spot. You had a man that came in here with one hell of a story and ultimately a career-threatening injury, and he still delivered for 30 damn plus minutes and won!
Yeah. I think we're caught up in the moment of, oh my God, he pulled this off with his freaking half of his arm and chest hanging off the damn bones. And granted, what Cody did tonight was something truly special, and the fact that he pulled it off, he's going to be hurting like a mucker further right now, let alone after surgery tomorrow or Tuesday, as JJ mentioned. But
he needs to get to the hospital tonight.
But Mikey, the comparison itself is apples and bananas. It really is. So I'm not discrediting. This is an amazing thing for Cody. This is an amazing thing for WWE. The fact that our chat room, who is notoriously vicious toward WWE, is praising what we saw tonight and what we saw last night. That in of itself is something worth talking about over the next day or so.
Without question.
But Jesus H. Christ, I still cannot watch the King of the Ring 98 without turning my head when I know what's about to happen. It's just like, oh shit. That's what it is.
I'm sorry. I don't think that even comes close. It's definitely number 2 now.
Like I said,
that's without question. I mean, there's no way you should have competed tonight.
As far as Hell in a Cell in and of itself, it's definitely in the hierarchy. But there have been so many moments with Mick Foley, that just either could have been less brutal or flat out shouldn't have happened. You look at Hell in a Cell, you look at the I Quit match with Dwayne. There's so many things, but Cody not only stepping into this cage tonight, not only wrestling a 30-minute, you wouldn't have known he was hurt except for the ungodly multicolored layers on his skin. Okay, he went tilt for tilt, blow for blow with the Architect, the guy who's been arguably the face of the new WWE the last 10, 12 years. And
exactly,
they tore that shit down so much that I have no problem calling that a Hell in a Cell match. Whereas going in, we were all haha about the Red Crate of Hate. That was every bit a Hell in a Cell match, like Shawn Michaels and Triple H was, like the classic ones that haven't relied on solely spots, like Triple H and Chris Jericho, like Triple H and Shawn Michaels. So this match will definitely be up there in Hell in a Cell legacy royalty, but comparisons are a dangerous thing, especially in the heat of the moment. That's all I will caution you on, Step.
Right, and again, I think the very first thing that really brought this a whole different idea was the fact that as soon as he took off that jacket, we saw the extent of the injury that he was going in. In essence, Jeff, this Hell in a Cell is a class of its own. I will call it that because why it was a red crate full of vicious hate on behalf of both men and all the psychological warfare. The fact that you had Cody coming in like that, you can't put that up against others because in this history of Hell in a Cell matches, we've never, ever seen somebody go into Hell in a Cell and deliver like that while in that state.
No doubt.
Beforehand. It's one thing to be messed the fuck up afterwards, like when Shawn Michaels and Triple H both went out on stretchers after going 40 minutes in bad blood. One of my top 5 Hell in a Cell matches ever.
Yep.
But that right there is a whole nother testament to the will and spirit of a professional freaking wrestler.
Yeah, no doubt. Like Jeff mentioned, I think it was, that he's going in there with what very well could have been a career-threatening injury and turned that 30-plus moments into what we were kind of talking about with the Madcap match. He turned it into a career-defining moment. Like, that is going to echo sediments of like Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle at the 2001 King of the Ring. People are going to remember that when they think of Cody Rhodes from now on. Point blank, period.
When you think about JJ and Mikey, I'll throw it back to you because I do want to make sure you get the rest of your points in before you have to go to bed. Before I got to go to bed, Jesus. The fact of the matter is, when you think about what happened to John Cena prior to No Mercy, and he had to relinquish the championship and was projected to be out 6 months to a year. Yeah, he's Superman. He came back at the Rumble. Good on him. When you think about what happened over in Saudi Arabia with Triple H and the fact that god-awful BOD versus DX match led to Triple H's freaking arm and shoulder looking like Cody's did going into the match tonight. Triple H's arm coming out of that match, it was like that was the worst thing that happened, including Kane's head coming off. That was kind of crazy. So it was just, it's you see that and you go, how in God's name is he in this thing? And you realize it's not God's name. He's in the devil's playground. He's going in there to end this guy. And like we're saying in the chat room here, when was the last time Seth Rollins won a freaking match on pay-per-view? Where does he go from here? He couldn't beat a guy, if you want to write the story like this, he couldn't beat a guy with half of his upper body hanging off.
Exactly.
I'm going to
just said, I feel like he goes into, a whole different state of madness and tries to capitalize on at my own bank.
Holy fuck. Jeff, no, stop the press. Stop the presses right now, Jeff. You got to show this on the air. His fucking torn pec is more red in this photo. Eric just sent it to me right now.
All right, well, send it my way.
Holy hell, dude! This is there's no other men would have been able to do this. I'm convinced.
James, send it my way. Mikey, Mikey, please finish your points. I don't want to lose you tonight.
And then I'd like to say something after Mikey. Go ahead.
I am concerned about Cody. He needs to get to the hospital tonight.
Dude.
He'll come back stronger than ever. We will not forget him. We will not forget this moment. The overall show was great. And that's all I can pretty much say for now. Again, thanks for having me on the show. I loved it. I hope everything goes out well. Have a great day. Oh my God, look at that.
Yeah.
that
Jesus
is
Christ.
that is red and
What?
black. Okay, that is wolf. I don't see purple. I see red and black.
Oh no, there's
Dude,
purple. There's purple.
Dude, it's caused unnatural veins to spread through the rest of his back, dude.
That's
It is
like
gross. Holy
he wrestled an entire
shit.
match with that. That is, by God, unbelievable.
You're talking about a man that wants to live and die by professional wrestling. Cody Rhodes, eat your heart out, Will Ospreay. Jesus.
Yeah,
I really, dude, I hope he's all right. What
He's
what
not.
in the hell?
He's not. He's not. He'll have surgery tonight.
You know he's freaking not.
There's no way. There's no friggin' way.
God.
Mikey.
Never again.
We good?
We're good, bros. Thank you again. I love you all. And
I love you too, man. Be safe. Get some rest tonight.
We'll catch you next time,
Got
bro.
Give our
You
regards
guys.
to Dollywood as opposed to Hollywood. Have a good night, brother.
You will.
So, transitioning from Mikey's presence on the show tonight and what we talked about to start this. By the way, James, welcome to the post Hell in a Cell version of Open Mic Night, and we are calling it Hell in a Cell because, God damn it, that show earned it.
I can't argue with that match
Fair enough.
alone. That was your only Hell in the Cell. That was the main event.
Yes,
Earned it.
and
I
for
admit
the
it.
record, the winner of the pool tonight was 1, 2, 3.
There, by the way, I will say there is a mixed reaction. Like people saying that they really should have just let him rest and called an audible. The part of me agrees, and part of me also is like, wow, you tough son of a bitch. Shouldn't have done it, but you tough son of a bitch. So that's kind of the consensus right now on social media. But this is definitely going to get people talking about Cody for sure.
Yes.
I mean,
no kidding. Go ahead.
JJ, you had points to make when Mikey was off. I apologize for saying hi to James. I didn't mean to cut your point off, but JJ, please go ahead before we move on to the actual points of interest tonight.
Well, like Little Soldier Mike just threw out, I'm 100% certain that this was Cody's decision to go through with the match. You know, you figure he was already going to be out of action regardless. You know, have the match, and how long is he going to be gone? You know, if he didn't go through with the match, maybe he would be able to come back sooner than he may be able to now that he had the match. But he was going to be gone regardless. May as well make a big to-do with it. Write him off with some style. But the point I was going to make is, you know, we ask, where does Seth go from here? We were talking about pre-show about how the Money in the Bank needs to be something to make a star, make a contender. This very well could be Seth's opportunity to take that briefcase once again, because he has been so battered, so defeated within the confines of the WWE storytelling that him winning the briefcase again could give an opportunity for the story writers to build him back into a viable contender that could potentially challenge at Mania if that's how they're actually going to go with it. Or if Cody is able to be back at Mania and take the title, we can revisit this with Seth trying to cash in on Cody down the line.
Wouldn't it be something if there was a couple? There's two scenarios I want to bring up, and then we'll go ahead and get the open mic night started. Number one, there has not been a 2-time Money in the Bank winner that has not cashed in both times. You figure Edge and CM Punk, right?
That's correct.
And of course Carmella, but Carmella didn't cash in the first time; she had to have it rebooted. So, but they still count too. What are you gonna do? Number two, wouldn't it be something if Cody walks into California, wins the championship, and then, much like he did in California the last time, Rollins comes in and tries to piss in the Kool-Aid?
Word.
Wouldn't that, dude, if that happens and I'm in that stadium, you're going to hear me pop across at the Garden somewhere, for real.
Same. And Richard Morales, tell that to John Cena.
Right. But again, everybody agree, whatever you think about John, Superman, the Superman moniker was never more apparent than having a torn pec the first week of October and winning the friggin' Royal Rumble match. I'm just saying. So I am now on the air and talking, so make it quick. You said to come in here. I also said not to knock when you came in, no matter what. I also asked you to text. Remember? No. I'm on the air and on camera, so if you come in there, you're gonna want to cover up. So what's up? I just wanted to show you. Stand by, guys. I know I'm.
You're going to talk to someone mute your mic, Jeff.
I was gonna say he might be. Honestly, he might just be showing the Cody thing. I wouldn't blame him.
No, I doubt that. But
torn pectoral, and he wrestled 30 minutes anyway. Because I mean, like, why not? Because he's crazy.
Yeah, that's simple as that.
Well, it's only for Jim. Anyway, thank you, sir.
You figure, Richard, a torn pec takes between 6 and 12 months to heal. You've got roughly 7 to 8 months until Royal Rumble.
Right.
He still very easily could be a surprise entrant come Rumble time.
This is an accurate statement on levels.
I will not disagree with that. I will not disagree with that. Jeff, what do you have on tap?
Yes.
Per se, now that the stat boy is gone, we are not in his sports bar, but what is on tap tonight?
What I wanted to do is, first of all, thank somebody at the place you're currently staying for the introduction of the show, because we are on the Jeff Meacham Network. Let the shenanigans begin.
There we go.
That's awesome.
This is on the desk. He actually 3D printed this for me. So, Rob, you can show him later, Jay. Rob, thank you again. It actually has its place now on my desk in the office. There you go.
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool shit?
Hashtag shenanigans, buy the shirt.
Exactly. Buy the shirt over at Meacham.com. There you go. Okay. Now, topic numero uno. That needs to be a jingle. Jeff Dunham, I can't pay you for Peanut's voice, but I will rip it off anyway. Now, so let's go ahead and move into topic number one. Based on what happened to Cody, Jesus Christ, people.
Good Lord Almighty.
Injuries across the board on both sides of this little war we have. CM Punk's confirmed broken bone. We believe in his leg. He's out for surgery. We done seen what Cody's dealing with. He'll be in surgery probably within the freaking hour after prep. Jesus. Scorpio Sky tweeting out after Rampage that he's dinged up. He may be injured. We don't know his status yet. And according to he who shall not be named, who writes quote-unquote journalism in Northern California.
The one that Josh just mentioned in the chat room there?
I'll go ahead. No. It is that. And again, you know, I don't give Uncle Dave a hell of a whole lot of credit, but he's absolutely right here. That was one of the damnest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
He's amazing. Anyway, apparently Bryan Danielson did not leave Vegas and go to Dynamite or Rampage because he's hurt, evidently. So my question basically is this. I kind of had this topic when it was just Punk and Sky, because you know both those guys are champions going into this coming week, and they're both dinged up. But now we have Cody with the torn pectoral, Bryan possibly out. Is the business so reliant on over-the-top presentation that these guys that, you know, and again, Matt Cardona, the reigning NWA champion, is questionable at best for Saturday's show, which we'll get to later. Injuries across the wrestling, you know, dynamic. Are the talents being asked too much? Are they asking too much of themselves? Because you've got the AW champion, world champion down for the count. The NWA world champions, pardon me, here's my one for the night toward the end. He's all fucked up. You've got, you know, the TNT champion possibly banged up. You got one of the greatest champions in recent memory, you know, possibly down. You've got the guy who's been, you know, lighting up the wrestling world since WrestleMania and returning to the company. He's now down for the count. There's a lot of people that are banged up and down. How do we, like, is it too much, or is it just the guys aren't letting themselves have the moment of rest? What is it? I'll start with James, since he was late to the party tonight.
So for me, like as far as injuries, I feel like with every other business, as far as wrestling goes and sports entertainment goes, Bryan Danielson, Scorpio Sky, CM Punk, anybody that's outside of the WWE walls, they a lot of them were freak accidents, most of them. There were a few where they just did one too many dives. For instance, I mean, Punk did his freaking tope suicida to the crowd and then smashed his freaking leg, which is what I think did him in. I think that's what did him in, and then him trying to springboard did not help matters. I think it was a double whammy there. He's lucky he's gonna be back in like 6 weeks, right. Which is, by the way, what is being reported. So he's not gonna be gone for long, which is why they're having. By the way, for those who are still confused about that, Punk is still the champion. Punk is still the champion. Punk is is not going to be on screen as champion. They're having an interim world champion by the time Forbidden Door is over with. So by the time, this may throw a whole spanner in the works, and I actually have my own open mic night topic just off that alone.
Right.
But that is that was like just Punk being Punk and doing something and being rebellious when he was told not to do it, and then costing him. So Phil, don't do that. That's bad, Phil. Don't do it again. And as far as Sky goes, I mean, this is the first I'm hearing about it, so I can't really comment.
Well, but the actual tweet from Sky, if I can find it in here, I know I had it in here somewhere. Yeah.
And then Cardona, I recently heard about this week, but yeah.
Here it is. So Sky tweeted that on either Friday night or Saturday morning. I went into last night's match with my knee bothering me, and unfortunately in the opening minutes, I strained a muscle that goes from my knee up through my groin. Ow! No. My right leg was useless from then on. Despite that, wrestling in SoCal felt amazing, even on one leg. Hopefully nothing serious. I'll be back to defend again soon. Man, so first of all, before you continue, let me go ahead and get me back. Hi. So JJ and I talked about it. The fact that Sky and Frankie and the Bucks and everybody came home and just lit us up between the Forum and the Toyota Arena was so cool. And then Frankie had his concert Thursday night. Jeff Hardy was there for that. So Jeff Hardy's not as banged up as we were led to believe, because he was up there tearing the whiskey down, which is a hard sell, because the whiskey's a mucker for the frigate. You've never actually been inside the whiskey out here in LA. Not only is he a hard crowd because it's a legendary spot. I mean, you figure the Gun started there, Motley Crue's been made there, stuff, bands like that, but parking there is a nightmare, and the stage is like this big. So it's just a bitch of a venue. And when you had Frankie's band, Jeff's band, We Are Wasted, and Jericho making a surprise appearance during Frankie's set, there was a lot of people in that place, and it could have been a lot more overwhelming for everybody involved. So the fact that everybody got out of there, okay, and there are people that were either at that show or at the Ziggler Brothers thing over in Pasadena, excuse me. So it was a long work week for everybody involved at AEW, between the shows themselves and then going out and supporting their fellow men and women by partying in Hollywood, which is, work week, but it's relative. So, but yeah, Sky coming home was so cool. Seeing all been performed. JJ, I didn't take this last night. Bruce was actually at Rampage.
Nice.
Bruce was at Rampage with his roommate's daughter, niece, some sort of family member in that side. And I was like, he's at a live show and he's reacting to Frankie and Sky. I'm like, dude, this is Bruce. Bruce is coming home too. It was so cool to see that. Anyway, so Sky is reporting he's hurt or at least banged up. A muscle strain from your right knee, from your knee to your groin
sounds bad. Yeah,
that isn't happy. And as a guy, very not happy. That sucks. Anyway. Continue, James. Yes.
I'll say this as well. So AEW, a lot of freak accidents, I would say. Keep in mind that AEW doesn't necessarily have a road schedule, so they do. But this was a more crazier week than most, because keep in mind they were in Las Vegas, in California, this entire week. And they had to do 3 shows this week, where typically most weeks they only have to do 1. And it's usually taped all in one day. So I don't think people were used to this. And I think it just, a little bit of cobwebs of doing a schedule like that after not doing it so long within, if they worked within the WWE or even Impact. In Sky's case, he worked that Impact road schedule for a period of time. Cody is a whole different story, because I'm convinced that his injury came because they had him fucking wrestle too many goddamn times on, on the show, like on house shows. Like he wrestled Seth Rollins before this event a total of 40 times. And then that's not even counting all the other random matches he had on house show loops. So this dude has been overtiming, and it's come back to bite him in the ass. Now, granted, there's no way you should have ever gone out there and wrestled in any capacity whatsoever. But the fact that you did, you tough son of a bitch, I salute you. But, man, I can't even I can't even believe that they that's the thing. I'm so conflicted about it because I like Cody and I don't want to see Cody get hurt, and the fact that the company kind of let him do this is ridiculous on every level, especially today's day and age. That's number one. Number two, it was still freaking nuts because holy crap, Cody wrestled with that bad of an injury.
Yeah,
and,
in the chat room here,
crap.
It's one of those, Cody wrestled 24 minutes, 20 with a torn pec. Just a reminder, he's not human. That's how long that match was. That's crazy. It's absolutely bananas. He went almost 25 minutes.
God.
No way.
That's crazy. JJ, what say you, sir, about the injury epidemic we're currently experiencing throughout the wrestling world?
Which is exactly what Noah and I called it too.
Well, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to the talent wanting to prove, number one, that they belong in this business, and number two, that their company is the superior product. We talked a little bit about pride, me and Noah did during the Rollins and Rhodes match.
Yes.
And being in the midst of essentially another war, although not near as major as the Monday Night Wars were, with AEW out there, with Impact out there, with NWA, with New Japan, with GCW, with all the other products that are getting TV time, even stuff like the UWW that's getting PPV time, through Fight TV or whatever.
Right.
People have to put their bodies on the line more so than ever, or at least the talent feels like they have to.
That's the word, obligated.
CM Punk, when he was in WWE, he did not have to go out there and do that much because his role was pretty much, although questioned at times, it was pretty much solidified. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until he got fed up here within the company that the solidification of his role started to fade away. Yeah. And then he left, and now he's back, and he feels like he has to prove himself once again and prove why he chose Tony Khan and AEW over essentially the good life that Vince could have offered him. The complete reverse can be said about Cody Rhodes. He went over to AEW, one of the founding fathers, if you will, the Mount Rushmore of AEW, considering, again, using the term founding father. He went there, helped establish the competition, made it what it is, and then came back home, as it were. And now he has to prove to himself that leaving AEW was the right choice. He could very well have called an audible and not gone out there tonight. He could have decided, hey, I'm too injured, throw Drew McIntyre, throw somebody else in my spot. But he went out there and he laid it all on the line for almost 25 minutes, as Josh pointed out, to prove to the fans who had started to turn on him in AEW, to the fans of the WWE Universe who had welcomed him back with open arms, and more importantly, to himself, that this was where he needed to be and what he needed to do.
Love it. Noah, you called it. Both you and JJ both called a Hell in a Cell match featuring a guy who shouldn't have been anywhere near an arena, let alone the friggin' ring. We watched together on Wednesday and Friday. As far as I was there on Wednesday, we all watched from home at one point or another Friday. These rosters are getting beat up. What's going on?
Again, it's one of those things where I look at where you try and find yourself in the wrestling industry. What are you trying to leave? What are you trying to do right now? Are you trying to prove yourself? Are you trying to prove something to somebody else? Are you trying to outwork somebody else, per se? Christian Cage, we talked about outworking everyone. He's not nearly as damaged goods as the few men in this picture here. I have a feeling that's just a lot of factors here. There's always that mental challenge that a wrestler has to face every single night. Can I keep up? Can I deliver? Can I move forward? It doesn't matter where, per se, they're trying to go. It matters where they are now, where they hope to be later on, too. And again, CM Punk, he was up to a point before he could even start. He's already on the injured reserve list. Cody Rhodes, there's just people out here that will live, eat, sleep, breathe, or die in the name of their own legacy in the professional wrestling industry. And there's not been a more stronger personification right now, above all Ospreay, even who even tweeted about that type of mentality, than Cody Rhodes here tonight. And then Scorpio Sky, he's out to prove that I am worthy of being a long-standing champion. But sometimes you want to be the moment. You want to be the show stealer, the showstopper, per se. And right now, I just feel like it's a very inconvenient time of how heavy they've either been worked or choosing to work themselves. We go back to MJF, for example, when it comes to that shoot work promo that he gave. He doesn't do nearly as much from a physical standpoint, it seems. And yet he's one of the most over things right now in the industry, just being himself. More than ever, 24/7, 365. For me, it comes down to how you balance the physical factor and the mental challenge you put yourself under being a part at all of the wrestling industry. And I just hope right now that this is just a small bump in the road for a few, not a domino effect for a number of more individuals to follow too across this industry. This is getting ridiculous, to say the least.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself, no, honest to God.
I gotta agree with you guys, all you guys. It's just, hopefully it doesn't get too much further out of hand, because it's just silly. And then we go from CM Punk, we talk about him being the world champion, the interim champion will be crowned at Forbidden Door. We go to this, which I have found very fascinating, between two men who, have given Vince arguably the opportunities to sweat more than anybody else. I'm trying to find the quote from Eric first, because he was the one that kind of started the jumping off point. But basically, Eric, who as JJ and I know, have a podcast with Conrad Thompson, 83 Weeks, which is every Monday, as it should be, talking about that CM Punk has been the biggest financial disappointment to AEW in the time he's been there. And after Double or Nothing the other night, Tony Khan was asked about that, and he flat out said, "That's fucking bullshit." With that look on his face.
I do want to also point out that he was effing drunk.
Yeah. Tony was lit like a Christmas tree. I'm not even going to deny that. Okay,
he was freaking hammered.
He wasn't just lit like a Christmas tree. He was lit like the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree on steroids.
So he went on to say that no one wrestler has ever come in and made a bigger plus delta financial difference in the history of my company going into the 3rd-year anniversary. No one person has made it a more positive impact. That was Tony's quote after saying that's fucking bullshit.
That wasn't all he said. I listened to the full quote. Trust me.
But I'm trying very hard to dumb it down and not be right in my requotes. Bischoff this last Monday said, quote, "I felt bad for Tony in a way. Then it's like, okay, I can't wait to fire back. I'm going to have so much fun with this. I was ready to go. I spent most of Monday morning actually just kind of in my mind laying out how I was going to take a flamethrower to this. Then I said, no, that's what you normally do, Eric. Let's not do what you normally do, which is just a visceral, in the moment, without a whole lot of thought response. There will be a time. There will be a place where I will respond to this nonsense. I mean, what the hell? Friday Night Wars? What are you kidding me? Enough. I got a better idea. I'm here with you, talking to Conrad, each and every week. You said you're friends with Tony. If you got something to say, Tony, and you want to defend yourself and Punk, you got an issue with my responses when I'm asked a question, or when somebody from your organization decides to use their platform to take a swing and then bitches and whines like a little puppy that peed on the carpet and knows it's about to get smacked, I respond, and you have a problem with that? Here I am, brother. Anytime you want to jump on and jump in, give the big man a call. You got his number. I know you do. He'll set it up and we'll do it. So not a hard man to find. So my question is, my questions are many. Number one, if Bischoff thinks so little of Tony Khan and what he has to say, why is he allowing himself to get wound up on his podcast that has nothing to do with current wrestling? 83 Weeks is about the past.
Yes.
Number two, if he thinks so little of Tony Khan, why is he invoking the fact that Conrad and Tony are friends and inviting them to come on the podcast other than, hell, let's pop a number for the podcast, like they need it? And again, we go into the whole, is it a work? Is it a shoot? It's just one of those, is this war of words really necessary? As you guys pointed out, Tony was lit like Rockefeller Center the night of the pay-per-view. Actually, halfway through. I'm surprised he made it out to the stage with Martha Hart, considering how he was already gone. God bless him for it.
Right.
As Martha wanted him to escort him. That's all.
Well, of course. Now, I'm leaving everybody on screen here. We'll just go ahead and take turns. We'll start from Noah and work our way down here. I just think it's kind of ridiculous for me personally, but Noah, you've been a fan, and you are a spoken out fan of AEW. You're also a historian, fan of the history of the business. Is this really worth? Is this something that's worth Eric Bischoff's time to pursue, or is it just becoming internet gaga like everything else we talk about?
I feel at this point it's the latter of the two.
Oh no.
Noah has become a Mr. Roboto.
Yeah, Noah, get off the call and then come back in. I'll take your place for now.
Son of a bitch. We almost got through one weekend.
All right, I'll be right back.
We almost got through one weekend without it happening. Oh well, James, go ahead.
So here's my thoughts on the whole deal. As far as Eric Bischoff is concerned, I go back to the statement I made a couple weeks ago. Not only does the only person that has the full information of what AEW does number wise is Tony Khan.
Right.
And if Tony Khan says that he's making a plus delta difference in All Elite Wrestling, then I take that at face value. You know why? Because, until we have a reasonable rating system that isn't fucking Nielsen, which is where Eric Bischoff is making these ridiculous comments about.
And that's never going to change.
At least not for a while. Probably not until another 2 years' time, according to Nielsen anyway.
Right.
Then we're not going to know what the hell difference Punk has made for wrestling fans. And by the way, it's funny that he calls him a financial flop, yet he was the highest rated segment on fucking Dynamite this week.
Right. And Rampage, I'm sure, because of what the announcement.
Just going by Nielsen. Right. Just going by Nielsen. And, by the way, not for nothing, but they also do the same thing for DVR numbers as well. He was still the highest rated segment on the freaking DVR numbers. So, I don't know. Calling me shocked, but I think Tony actually has a fucking point when he says he has not had a bigger financial plus delta. And he has.
And no,
Eric, get over yourself. Get off Tony's dick.
Well, he's not on Tony's dick. That's the problem. He's trying to make sure people aren't on it blindly. Noah, I'm going to throw back to you. You are the lone sober for life guy in the room here. JJ held out for a long time because he had to. But I can speak from experience. When you're as far gone as Tony was during that scrum, it's a hell of a lot harder to come up with bullshit than it is to come up with the truth. So the fact that he said what he said about Punk and his stats in the company, I tend to believe it based on that alone.
It's one of those things where, again, at this point, day and age, it's almost like internet drives the wrestling industry. It's almost like a cry out for attention on Eric Bischoff's behalf. I mean, he's the guy that talks about controversy creates cash. What's controversial about Tony Khan's rebuttal besides the state that he's in and the fact that it still sounded soundly intelligent, whether or not he's still only talking about metas and metrics and all money and all that type of stuff. He still was kind of on point. And again, he basically just outright reacted to an opinion by Eric Bischoff. What is kind of being taken out of context here is how Eric Bischoff is still following up afterwards. He said something, move on. Eric Bischoff is almost like he wants a rebuttal. He wants a confrontation. He doesn't want like a collaboration, it seems. And this pretty much continues the fallout between him and AEW and being booked for those political segments per se. At the end of the day, I feel like it's just a pop. I don't think it's a work on either party's behalf. This is just Eric Bischoff trying to instigate something that is unnecessary, but if nothing else, it would bring more attention to him and garner maybe ratings for his podcast in a constantly content-driven world ruled by social media interest. For me, I just think it's just more pointless garnering attention on Eric Bischoff's behalf. I'm over it.
I agree. And by the way, I have something to add to Noah's point as well. Eric, and I'm talking to you directly now, boss. All right, Eric, let me ask you a serious question. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Do you really want to be put in the same lines as James E. Cornette, where everybody just dismisses your fucking thing for attention? Because I'll tell you right now, dude, you have a lot more to contribute to this industry if you actually were to work with Tony Khan. You know, call me a kiss ass, but I'm gonna big up Eric Bischoff here, even though I just shit on him earlier. But was he or was he not the sole reason why WCW got these crazy crossover deals? Do you know how much of a benefit AEW could get if he were to somehow strike a deal with people like that? If he were to get in touch with his old buddies in NASCAR, if he were to get in touch with monster truck buddies or whatever, if he were to able to get people AEW on billboards or something like that because he knows people and stuff, like, he would be a tremendous asset in that department. He could be dare I say it, could be a chief branding officer for that company. He legitimately could be. And instead, he's on Conrad's show because Conrad is just trying to do a podcast, which Eric agreed to do, and is shitting all over Tony's parade because he doesn't like the fact that Tony's actually got legitimate points that WCW failed. Which, by the way, not once, and I need to reiterate this, not fucking once did Tony Khan ever say that you were even to blame for all of that. He didn't even blame a single person. He just said straight up WCW failed. We know that it wasn't just on you.
Absolutely.
We know that it was mainly on Turner.
I was going to say, if anything, the two least culpable people, despite media to the contrary, are Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo.
Right. So, like, Bischoff, stop. Nobody is denying your success in the industry. Nobody is saying your company was a complete failure. But at the same token, you can't go around and say that AEW is a failure because you're getting insulted over a company that did not give two fucking shits about you to begin with. And that's the truth. They did not care. They did everything, Bischoff, that they could to destroy your reputation at every turn. Why are you going out there and defending this crap? Because it wasn't like he was actively destroying Ted Turner when he said it at the first time. In other words, and I'll take a quote from Jade Cargill, Eric, cut the shit.
Okay.
God damn.
JJ.
Yes.
Follow if you dare, my friend.
I honestly have nothing left to add. I feel like both Noah and James have said everything that needs to be said on the subject. At the end of the day, it just sounds like Eric is trying to put 4 little words out there to Tony. Put up or shut up. You know, I do agree with Eric that if Tony is going to run his mouth about him in retaliation of what Eric says on his podcast, then come on the podcast and do it face to face, so to speak.
I do agree with that. Yes.
I do agree with that. That's fine. But
Otherwise, in the words of Elsa the Snow Queen, let it go.
I understand where you're going with that because of where I'm going. Very good. All right. So, before we move on to...
Like Josh said, remember, folks, the Jeff Meacham brand is not responsible for the comments made live by singular individuals on this program, nor do we necessarily endorse their viewpoints. That way, if and when Eric Bischoff sees this, you won't be excommunicated from the New World Order there, Mr. Meacham.
And YouTube, I understand I'm up for review after, for some reason, you dinged me the minute I started. Please don't watch the last 5 minutes. Please. Okay. 40. Okay. So before we move on to our last topic, I do want to throw up something that our friend the Scrap Daddy threw up there to the world. Of course, Adam being a Chicago native, as I found out by eating pizza in Waukegan. Thank you, Chicago. You were tonight exactly what I remembered being as a kid. The best fans in the world, and of course, calling himself best in the world, being from Chicago. And here's where we football fans get in the weeds here. Next stop, home again, FNA Green Bay, if you know, you know. And of course, Adam is a stockholder within the Green Bay Packers organization, so he is going to give the Packers a love. So, yeah, the fact that WWE's going to Green Bay tomorrow, good on them. At least it's summertime; it's not snowing. Jesus, I never understood people booking other than football, and even then, football, Lambeau. You can update and bowl the roof. We have the technology. Jesus. And same with you, Jersey. Looking at you, MetLife, you dipshits. Okay. Golly. All right. Main event. Next. Did I? Yeah, no, I put the wrong one up. Hang on. Son of a bitch. Stand by. Because they're not in the right order. It's the same friggin' day because I'm all freaking, we're going to be in freaking
I definitely get that.
So,
and Josh, just a real quick thing, as a guy that are bot in the chat, botch. Josh, both Tony Khan and Vince McMahon have exhibited huge amounts of unprofessionalism, either in Twitter activity or on screen showcasing. It's just one did it more than the other on the platforms respectively. With Tony Khan, it comes down to Twitter reactivity. With Vince McMahon, it comes down to backstage politicking and sometimes personal showcasing at things like a funeral. But I digress. But we'll talk more about that later. Either way, both men have their faults. Both are billionaires. Both are egos. Both are going to be what they're going to be.
So,
Scott has joined the room. What's going on, Scott? One of our biggest supporters.
Hey,
and Jeff, it looks like one of those bots is still there.
No, it's on the StreamYard thing, but it should be off the.
Okay.
I mean, I tried to block it.
As long as the bot does not prevail on YouTube.
I'm trying to block it. It keeps saying error, so I'm assuming I can't do it because it's already blocked. Anyway, I booked this and didn't really ask my play-by-play guy if it was okay because there's like going to be a 2-hour break between the two shows. So, are we good on this or?
I think we're fine with that. At the end of the day, if I'm going to watch Always Ready, I got no reason to fall asleep ahead of Dominion. I'll just probably do what I did literally this past week when I burnt myself out between work and wrestling. Take Friday off and sleep for 12 hours. So, yeah, that's really fine by me.
I dig it. Because you figure, Saturday night's Dominion, is going to be one of those that we get something that's going to affect not only New Japan, but what we're going to see in a couple of weeks, because you've got Tanahashi and Goto with the winner of that match facing the winner of Dynamite's main event between Moxley and the Battle Royal winners. So this show Saturday night after NWA show is going to be really the one to watch. But again, the NWA has yet to let us down here on the Jeff Meacham Network as far as the quality and ring work, the stuff they present to us. And the question is on everybody's mind now, what will be the state of the World Heavyweight Champion who brings the 10 pounds of gold into this show? Will he defend the title against Nick Aldis? Will we even see him get in the ring in anything but a wheelchair? He was wheeled out tonight, in a wheelchair by Chelsea Green at the show he's at tonight. So will the champ step into the ring? what will become of the 10 pounds of gold, what will become of every championship in NWA, which are all on the line this weekend. So, and then Dominion, right now I believe there's either 10 or 11 matches, and we're starting at 10 p.m. Pacific here, local time, 1 a.m. for you East Coast kids. So that will take us well into Sunday, to say the very least. But I am looking
hours of the
forward to it.
morning.
What's up?
The wee hours of the morning.
Wee hours. And
hours.
And of course, with the coverage we're doing on both shows, the pre-shows will be, I know I put their the pre-show for NWA will be an hour as opposed to an hour and a half, because we got to get into it and get through it. And then there'll be no pre-show for Dominion, just because it's going to be one of those that we have to just keep moving. So we may just take that. I'm assuming, because I got to be the one doing the programming, that the NWA will be over at 11 o'clock Eastern. So I'm assuming we'll have a 2-hour break. I don't know if the NWA will go longer, shorter, whatever time there'll be between the two shows. Figure, knowing the way I know Noah likes to explain what's going on in Japan for the rest of us ignoramuses that don't watch on the regular, like myself, we're going to need at least an hour to cover the gist of what's going on in 10 matches. So,
and I might as well say this now. Hey, I'll join you boys for this.
Cool. Okay.
So I'll be on.
Well, it's one of those. Noah said he would, and that's great for both shows. JJ is the NWA is the one show JJ does not watch on the regular, so I don't expect if you want to be along, I always love having you around, but that's late even for you on the New Japan side. So
I do not believe I will be here for this. I will probably just send Noah my picks for the NWA show.
Okay.
Pre-show, so make sure I get a list of the matches in our group chat.
Okay.
But yeah, I've got too much stuff going on the next few weekends that, as far as the pay-per-views go, I probably won't be on calling the action as I did this weekend until Hell in a Cell.
You mean until Forbidden Door?
Until Hell in a Cell.
I think you mean the next WWE Premium Live event, which is Money in the Bank.
By the way, Jeff, what you see on that little graphic I made is my potential open mic night topic I wanted to bring to the forefront. But I don't know how
that's
much
hilarious.
Well, it's one of those.
No,
I did
I'm
say
just that exhausted, but yeah, there's so much going on these next few weekends that I may be able to join for pre-show and post-show festivities, but not during the actual events.
Okay,
that is fair.
Well, again, post-show for New Japan is going to be, probably catch a quick nap, a freaking GI shower, and go to church. God bless the man. So, so we'll see how it all lays out. But James, as far as your topic, I love it. If we can, I want to save it for Friday, only because, for
that's right. Dominion isn't until then. Yeah,
right. So I would say if we do some sort of open or some sort of thing to kill the time between NWA and Dominion, we can bring that up, because that match you suggested to me, which is that Tanahashi in the one picture.
The idea is, could we possibly get, and I brought this up on the show that Noah and I did at 2:00 this afternoon, what if we somehow completely have it flipped on its head and we get Tanahashi, the AEW interim world champion, versus the IWGP world's champion Kazuchika Okada in a title unification match for Punk to come back and face? Because that would completely flip all of this on its head.
Yeah. Talk about the script going bye-bye. Good grief.
You're right.
I'd be okay with that, honestly. But again, I don't know if you missed this part. I do need to call it earlier. And actually, 9 o'clock is perfect, because that'll get me an extra hour of sleep, because I have to be out the door at 4:53 my time.
That's fair.
Then I think with that being said, Jeff, let's go ahead and wrap this party up for the night. Again, Cody Rhodes, you crazy boy.
You crazy. You cray. Straight up cray.
But I just wanted to say really quickly, based off of what you were asking about the NWA show, how does Matt Cardona not go out there and try to wrestle after what Cody Rhodes did here tonight.
Especially number one, they're boys. Number two, yeah, Cody. And again, we don't know the extent of Cardona's injuries. It could be all just one big giant, Matt being Matt stuff. But yeah, the fact that Cody went out there with his friggin' arm hanging out of the socket, pretty much. That's.
And post what Josh just posted there.
I'm trying to get to it. It won't let me go. There it is.
Cody addressed the crowd after the match. He said he alone made the choice to go out there, that you would have had to kill him to keep him away. He went all in, and we believed in him and thanked everyone. Yep,
that has been Cody's last 6 years, going all in on himself and delivering every step of the way.
And that's the reason why he is nothing less from unfreaking deniable. And that's
and straight cray.
So even if Matt drops the title on Saturday, how do you not go in there and at least attempt something after what Cody and the WWE did tonight?
Yeah, and you're talking about, people injury prone or fighting for injuries. Cody, did he just influence the industry in a crazier way?
So.
I would hope not. You don't need to, guys. Rest the fuck up.
Do that. Let JJ finish his thought. I was just booting.
I was just going to say, is it the smart decision? Absolutely not. But, it's one of those things where Cody Rhodes basically said, follow that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Anybody else in the industry that is injured right now, be it Punk, be it Sky, be it Brian, be it Cardona, follow that.
And that doesn't apply by company.
With a torn pectoral that you could see the damage on. How are you going to top that?
I will say, while no injury is worth wrestling through that amount of pain, I will say the difference between Punk's injury and Cody's injury. If Punk wrestled any more on that torn, what is it? What's the body part that is injured?
ACL?
In his foot?
ACL?
Yeah. If he wrestled any more, the whole thing would have torn off completely, and Punk would have been out for much longer. He had to take it off. Cody was going to be out regardless, and Cody basically just said, "Well, I might as well just do it." That's the difference between the two.
Right.
That is like apples and oranges, honestly. Like like Punk didn't have a choice, even, and you could tell he wanted to continue. He didn't want to stop, but he didn't have a choice.
The fact of the matter is, James, he went in there and we kind of ha-had at the botched buckshot and was like, that's not very like Punk. And then he botched either 2 or 3 times during the 6-man tag. It's like, okay, something's wrong. Something's legitimately wrong.
Yeah. Literally.
It was bad. I'm going to go out of the room and do plugs because we're going to end that way. James, what do you have coming up besides returning to us on Saturday for NWA, Always Ready, and Dominion?
Well, I got a bunch of stuff going on, actually, believe it or not. I'm actually kind of doing YouTube again, like, full time. It's actually crazy. We're doing, from the looks of things, we are going to be doing a Jay Hebert side of things on my channel. We're going to be doing an open mic night on my channel as well. And we just Noah and I did a cross promotion stream of the Wrestling Rundown and ATW View in celebration of the Forbidden Door event that's happening between New Japan and All Elite Wrestling. And we got a bunch of stuff in the can for a fantasy booking series and watch-alongs on Casey's channel. So much going on under the umbrella of FTW Productions. If you haven't checked out what we've done, go check it out. We got a lot coming through, so definitely sub.
Mr. Foster, what say you, but prior to Always Ready and Dominion?
I swear, I feel like there's no rest for me when it comes to professional wrestling, but I digress. Always a pleasure. Folks, you want to know more about me? Know this. I am just a simple man and your play-by-play commentator for the Jeff Meacham Network and all things wrestling, and simply a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! But I digress. Find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and Foster1916 for all fans wrestling. And shout out to BTW crew on Twitter that Jay Hubert's side is also a part of, as we did do a collaboration with the Wrestling Rundown. Tomorrow night, I'll be with the lovely Cindy G. We'll be doing our AEW Rampage recap and talking more about the CM Punk and Forbidden Door situation on the Daily Slam. I also will be, of course, bringing preview and predictions and forms for NWA Always Ready and NJPW's Dominion. And there's so much more ahead to in this constantly moving forward industry of professional wrestling. As long as I like to conclude, there are no winners, no losers, no betters. They're just fans and opinions for this passion we all share. At the end of the day, folks, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality, and after tonight, protect your dadgum body. And just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling. It's as simple as that.
All right. JJ, I have your week queued up in pictures, so we will go ahead and.
Are you sure you have them all? You're not going to botch.
Okay, well let me. Okay, so let me make sure. Okay, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Don't have Saturday. Thank you for reminding me, but I do have Sunday. I do have Sunday. So let me go ahead and talk about Monday.
All right. Well, tomorrow, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 Eastern on the Casa D18 Studios Channel, Renegades Reviews will be back on the air with my review of Wayne's World. It is party time. It is excellent. The two goofs from Aurora, Illinois are going to be causing their shenanigans, and I will be discussing their SNL skit turned feature film. Immediately following that, at 4 o'clock, will be
I was gonna do that one myself.
But is that not me as well? Are we not co-branded? Immediately following that, at 4 o'clock p.m., 7 Eastern, Ask the Dads with good old Jeff Meacham live on location from the happiest place on earth. No, not the Kia Forum, Disneyland, the House of Mouth.
Yes.
The House of Mouse. Little tongue-tied after today, forgive me.
And
on Wednesday, as Jeff was about to plug the sequel to Wayne's World, Wayne's World 2, once again, the SNL skit turned feature film, going to be covering more of the antics of the lovable rock and roll loving goofs from Aurora, Illinois. Then on Thursday, episode 3 of the Disney Plus limited series, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. I will be covering that. And if you guys have not seen that yet, make sure you watch it before that episode goes up, because OMG, was there a lot to unpack in episode 3. On Friday, we're going to take a trip to the Wild West. No, not alongside Will Smith. It's going to be Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, Kiefer Sutherland, Lou Diamond Phillips, and others as we discuss Billy the Kid and the Regulators in Young Guns. On Saturday, as I cover my new release film for the week, it's going to be Good Morning with a U, starring Machine Gun Kelly. You've got Dove Cameron, Becky G, Pete Davidson, Megan Fox, and a slew of others who make cameos in this stoner film. And calling it a stoner film is kind of a downer on stoner films, if you will. And then rounding off the week, episode 5 of The War Zone on Sunday. All of my broadcasts at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. The weekly acquisition report as I show off some of the newest additions to my movie library.
One more.
Sorry, continue. Sorry.
Okay, what else
Since you're doing Young Guns, I figured we're going to talk about. You're also doing Young Guns too.
Oh, that's the week after. You said my week.
I just figured I'd throw Young Guns too up since you talked about it. It was a last minute decision.
Fair enough. And then a week from tomorrow, I will be covering the sequel to Young Guns. One of the few sequels that, in my opinion, is superior to the original. But I will get more in depth into that on that review Monday, June 13th.
And as JJ mentioned during his plugs, which I appreciate, my friend, We will be going live, he and I, tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock for you kids out here on the West Coast, which is where I'll be all day, just not here in the Jeff Meacham Studios. I will be live at Disneyland for Ask the Dads. No, we can't do dads from Disneyland because trying to do a top 10 list with more than an hour presentation, that's not going to work. And luckily, I was able to get out of the reservation I had set up for 3 p.m. Pacific because, that would have been scarfing down park food in an hour and trying to get set up. That would have sucked. That would have sucked big horse-drawn carriage dick. Terrible. So, thank you all for the last couple nights. It's been amazing. We didn't quite get the numbers tonight I was hoping for, considering last night kind of set a new standard I wasn't counting on, but we did get the views. So I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate people tuning into what amounts to a BWWE show and a NXT show, but both of them proved they belong on the Peacock app. They belong on the WWE Network. They deserve to be called an NXT special and a WWE Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So bravo to everybody that put that together tonight. God bless you guys. Cody, for the love of God, stay in your hospital bed, you crazy sumbitch. CM Punk, same thing. Get the leg fixed up. Brian, Sky, Adam Cole. I forgot about Adam Cole in the process of talking about this. Y'all need to stop. Relax, okay?
Well, and according to Josh,
you ain't gonna press us Hollywood geeks anymore. Just relax.
According to Josh, Cody is going to address the injury tomorrow night, so he should at least be at Raw before going off to get the surgery on Tuesday.
Because of course he will.
Yes. And you know what? I hope he addresses it and doesn't get physically involved because that's just ridiculous. But yeah, again, you've got Ask the Dads, of course, Talk Wrestling will be on Tuesday, whether I've slept or not, because I'm coming home Tuesday morning from Disney and getting the kiddo off to basketball camp, and then God and Mask of Mafia willing, I will be sleeping until Talk Wrestling goes live. Greg Cherry Show on Wednesday, celebratory dinner Wednesday night after I go off the air Wednesday. Thursday is dark for now. And then Friday, I believe we're going to keep dark as well because we have that big gap in between Always Ready and Dominion. So thank you all for the last couple nights. Thank you all for the last couple of months. You're going to get me paid at the end of this month, which I was not counting on. So thank you guys for that. And thank everybody who has tuned in the Jeff Meacham Network the last few days, who has participated in the Jeff Meacham Network the last few days. We will see you guys tomorrow, as James said, on the FTW studios with all the craziness going on James's end. Noah Foster, if he's not on here, he's some damn where on YouTube. He's very much like Michael Strahan and the star of Blackish. If you don't see him here, you'll see him elsewhere. The dude's everywhere. So thank you, Noah. We appreciate that. JJ, again, Wayne's World, it will be party time, and then it'll be party time for me right after that because I'll be at the happiest place on earth right alongside you on screen, brother. So thank you all. We will see you tomorrow. And as I said at the top of Mike Night, we are the Jeff Meacham Network. Let the shenanigans begin. Have a wonderful night, everybody.